Welcome to Mechs on Deck. How is everyone doing tonight?
Spectacular.
Tonight, we have Mr. I am me, you are you here with us. We're going to talk about stuff. We're going to talk about building boards, techniques, while enjoying some adult beverages. You can see him cracking the cap.
I am you are you with the 2 months. Thank you. Also, while we were off stream, Talisman Solutions with the 1100 bit.
Oh, wow.
Saw that when I was testing some stuff. I was like, oh, it's a nice little thing to stumble upon.
We definitely appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's Wednesday. It's 8 p.m. We're here. A little after 8. Here, it's myself. I'm Osiris. This is Chewy above me.
Hola.
And I'm iammeuru. Right here.
I can't figure out how to point the right direction. But.
Yeah, I don't know. I could just point at me. If I point at you guys, it's like all horizontally.
You're right there. And then you're right there. That works.
I'll move it over and then I'll be able to point correctly.
But yeah, welcome to Mechs on Deck. I am me, you are you, or as I once butchered it, iammeuru.
You're not the only one.
So we've got some fun stuff to chat about, and we are also doing a little brews and boards conversation. So
yeah. Little
for me, I'll introduce my drink first. Local Legend. It's a local stout. It's a sweet stout. It's solid. I enjoy it. It was free to me, so can't freebie. What is it? Your two favorite drinks are free and then cold. So
truth.
Words to live by.
Absolutely. I'm being boring as hell. I have a Dos Equis. I didn't know that they were gonna bring out the big guns. I would have gotten something a little bit fancier. Maybe if I get to the second, I'll get something a little bit more spicy, a little bit higher end. What are you drinking on?
I'm drinking a Velvet Merkin oatmeal stout. Delicious coffee, chocolate flavors, all wrapped up in a nice adult beverage.
There you go.
Barrel aged beers, guys. That's the bougie goodness right there.
So real quick, CF Caner. Shout out as always. Drifting Bunnies, hello, Langladia, Frisco Melt, Boop Beep Bep. Welcome, guys. So yeah, we're going to but yeah, we're gonna be doing some chatting. We've been a frequent raider of the I Am Me You Are You his channel. Be sure to check out his channel as well. You can do !guest. I actually fixed it this time.
Nice.
With the link and everything. I went that far. But first, a quick word shout out switchmod.net. You can go to switchmod.net/mechsondeck for 4% off. Get yourself a tub of lube if you need. Springs, check this out. Autofocus finally. You can get some keysters, you can get some stickers, all that stuff. So go check him out. And yeah, is he still running Sandstorm? I'm so bad. I should know this.
I think Sandstorm runs until
because it started late.
Let's see.
It is still going.
It is still up. It is still up.
Orders close the 4th, so a couple days left, guys.
Days.
There's a few overlapping the month carryover sets that are running this month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like 100 all around.
$127 base kit though, not bad for a big set like that. So definitely go check that out. Coupon or the 4% off does not count towards group buys, but still go check that set out. It's gonna be a solid. I think that's gonna be one of those sets that I think creeps in as a higher end set.
Yeah, I think we've got a couple sets that are kind of out right now that may not be as popular when they initially run, but when they actually get out in the wild and they get delivered, people are going to be pretty sad that they missed out on. I know right now GMK DMG is one of those sets, and you don't want to have that happen. So get on Sandstorm while you can. Next up, we have Dixie Mech. You can go to mechsondeck.dixiemech.com. You can go over there. He's running GMK Dracula starting next week, and I think 9009 is also still running. I think it runs until Friday as well, which is the 4th. So go pick 9009 up or wait for Dracula. Use mechsondeck.dixiemech.com. It helps us out a whole lot.
Absolutely. And then last but not least, Zap Cables. You can go check out zapcables.com and get yourself a custom cable. He makes some of the best cables in the business. There it is already, showing it off. So yeah, you can get a custom cable if you want to make one. We have a video where John walks us through how to make one. And he's got the bumper coming out soon. So we got lucky enough where Cyrus was able to build one, and we gave away a group buy spot for that. So that should be coming here probably this month. I haven't talked to him in about a week and a half, or at least about the bumper. But yeah, so be sure to check that out. So
yeah, absolutely. So starting it off, we always like to do our fast 4.
Yeah.
The top 4 questions. The first one being 4 favorite Switches.
Man, so this is really hard, right? Because I was thinking about this specific question, and I was like, do I break it up between vintage and modern, or like Alps versus or whatever versus MX, or just like outright my top actual favorite Switches that you might actually be able to do something with? So I think I'm going to do it like that. My top favorite that you might actually be able to build something with today. So number 1, Alps Brown. Absolutely number 1. And then I think the next thing in my lineup is modern. So Zelio. I prefer 78 grams, like well lubed. Yeah,
my homie.
they're good. They're good. And then probably Alps Blues, whites, or ambers. Kind of depends on what the sound of your board is, but I'll say blues and whites are basically the same if you have like good whites. 4, it makes it really hard, but I'll have to throw a bone to linears, even though I'm not a linear guy at all, and say that Telios are incredibly smooth for what they are. Incredibly
There you
smooth.
go.
I sound like a Zeal shill sometimes.
Say the Zeal love.
But I mean,
Oh.
they're some of the best Switches on the market. The Zeal, like I was talking with some people last night, if the Zelio V2 sounded better, like sounded closer to a Holy Panda, I feel like we wouldn't need the Holy Panda.
No, absolutely. Like the sound is the sound of the Holy Panda is unique and amazing, but the Zelio is, and it took me a while, right? Because I was typing on Holy Pandas a lot right before Zelio V2s came out, and at first I was like, nah, I like the Holy Panda more. And then it kind of just switched all of a sudden. All of a sudden I was like, no, actually these are just better. They're tighter, like they don't wobble at all hardly, which you can't say about Holy Pandas. And even though the sound signature is louder and more unique, the harsh bottom out that accompanies that sound signature is just not as appealing as when you bottom out a Zelio. It just isn't as harsh or unexpected.
Right.
I don't know. I think they're better.
I think you should try a Switch that I crafted. I just had my wife hand me the keyboard. So these sounds like a Holy Panda, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds not a Holy Panda. Parts of it. So it is a Zelio V2 bottom, a Yak Panda top, and a Halo stem. And it is
Okay.
one of the weirdest and awesomest switches.
So you still get that like sharp bottom out feel a little bit.
You get the sharp bottom out. It sounds
Tighter housing.
great. Tight housing, so that's not super wobbly. Halo stem still gives you that thok, and that Yak housing on the top gives it that Holy Panda like echo
resonance. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like it was funny whenever Cyrus came over and he was like, I don't know what to think about this.
I was like, this hurts my brain because it doesn't sound and how I think it should sound.
Yeah.
It sounds really, really good. It's a really good sounding switch. If you have those 3 different switches,
if you just happen to have 3 switches burning a hole in your pocket,
you could try it, you know?
There you go. See? Boom. Look at that.
There you go.
He's ready to go, man.
Ready to make and lube a shit ton of Holy Pandas.
So, but I'll be putting that
300 plus.
I'll be putting that in the Fiel and bringing it to the NorCal meetup, so you can try totally it and go, well, crap, now I have to buy these.
I'm totally in, man. I totally want to check it out. So, yeah, so I think
Brown, Alps Brown, like we got to try there are 2 boards at the Houston meetup that had sorry, real quick. Are you all right? Okay, sorry. So we got to try Alps Browns at the meetup on some Lunar AEK boards, and it was
with AEK caps, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe so.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry. I didn't mean to derail your train of thought. Just there's a difference in the sound signature of those caps, those heavy PBT caps, versus Alps is a weird world, man. There's like so many different combinations and things that you can kind of do that yield different results, even with the same switch. Anyway, yeah, I would challenge you to try those Alps Browns with some high quality ABS vintage caps, or maybe like some other PBT caps that have a little bit different properties, like the SGI, like beige or granite caps, whatever. I'll bring some to NorCal.
Japanese horror rider with 1,000 bits. Thanks, bud. Yes, bring some to NorCal.
Yeah, we both loved the way that the Alps Browns felt, and then they did sound pretty good with those caps. So I'd be interested to see how they sound with caps that are of higher quality.
So, yeah. But next up, keycap sets, top 4.
Okay. This is really hard. I'm going to have to start this off by giving you one that isn't going to fit into what anyone wants to say. So I'm actually going to give you 5. All right. 4 that people would want to hear about, and one that I think is worth mentioning as probably my actually favorite, which is SGI Granite. So that's actually probably my favorite. But of things that people might actually care about, I came prepared.
Oh, wow. Showing them off, too. I love it.
Apparently, I brought 5. So, GMK White on Black.
Classic.
This is legit my favorite keycap set.
You can't go wrong.
GMK set ever. No, it fits literally every board.
Yeah.
Literally every board. You can't mess up. If you put that on a board, it will look good, no matter what. And if you bought the Space Kit from Heine, then you can put it on your Alice or your East or whatever, anything with a split bottom. Number 2, I know I'm going to find some fans here, is camping. I don't know if the colors are right enough for that to look good.
Because I have my glasses
off. And I don't have anything other than the red return in here, but I do have all the novelties and stuff. So camping. The next 2 were kind of hard for me to place or order. So in no particular order. Modern Dolch.
Another classic.
Yeah, Modern Dolch. And Shoko. You know what? Shoko's not gonna be done justice like that. So
remnants of Shoko.
There's some mods.
Yeah. So
Shoko does look clean.
Shoko.
That's another set that I feel like surprised a lot of people. I think some people didn't get in on it because they were afraid of the saturations of the different blues, and it looks awesome.
But it's so good, though. It's so good. I'm so happy that I jumped in on it because the prices on Shoko are insane. Actually, camping I didn't jump in on. I got into the hobby right as camping launched, and I was like, who pays $180 for a keycap set? Right now, if you like look at the number of keycap sets that are in my drawer, it's just like it's a ludicrous amount of money. So now I don't feel that way. But I was like, who does this? And then that was 4. But a notable mention is monochrome.
Monochrome.
Another set you can put on anything and it's gonna look good.
And that's kind of what I like. That's the kind of keycap set that I really love. Like something that you could just put on whatever and it looks great. Shoko, I would argue, doesn't look great on literally every color. It looks good on every color, but lighter colored boards look amazing with Shoko. And camping, I can kind of say that about too. Even though I like it a lot,
Camping is
there are
limited.
boards it doesn't go on.
Yeah, there's camping's limited, but when you can find the right board, it looks great. Plus, it's one of the best boards on a gold board.
Ooh,
Like,
I don't have any gold boards. I guess I need to get a gold board next. That's not what's going to be next, but when it's available, I will do it. Yeah. So those are my keycaps, man. I mean, there's a lot of really good keycap sets otherwise that I love, like Olivia. Cafe looks crazy hot. There's ones that I love, like mod or novelties on, like Voyager is going to be amazing just for its novelties. Just a ton of sets, but my favorites are always in that realm of like this just looks good on almost everything.
are you a fan of minimal?
I have minimal in there, and I almost pulled it up and put it on in the stack of crap that I just showed you, but I don't like it as much as white on black. I think that it's less applicable than white on black or monochrome, but like to a multitude of boards at least. But it does look fantastic. It's an amazing set. I'm not sure if I like pristine or minimal more. I don't own pristine, but I've seen it next to minimal, and I'm like not 100% sure which one I actually like more. But they're so close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we both have minimal, and then I'm excited. We also got in on the icon mods.
In the
set that Emir was, or Emir, so
yeah,
you technically say it, was running a couple months ago.
Yeah. I did not.
Yeah, so I'm excited. Chewy's taking the white. I'm taking the black. So I'm excited to kind of mix it up and almost make like pseudo monochrome.
I feel like I missed out on not jumping in on that one set that's running now, and I'm bad with names, so I'm totally not gonna remember. But the functions set that's running right now, what is that?
The
I need to jump in on it.
missing keys.
No, missing. Is it missing keys? Where it's just a bunch of function buttons like FN.
Oh, then no, that's not.
Because this is one of the things that I truly love about Shoko, is that it has a 1.5 view bottom row function. And there's like
not a lot of boards doing that.
Somebody's gonna throw this in the chat, I'm sure, but there is a set that's running right now that's a bunch of those. It was on the last Top Clock episode. Shout out to those guys because they're awesome.
They are.
Anyway, yeah. So anything that has that, I think, is worthwhile.
Absolutely. And then next one is your top 4 boards.
Oof. Top 4 boards.
Heiny Bush is watching.
No, that's actually not. That's Heiny Bush watching or not. I'm gonna plug his board no matter what, because this thing is legit the best board that I own for sure. And there are 3 boards that are coming out this year that I've had my hands on that I know are amazing, and I will say are like too close to call for the average Joe. as the best board that came out this year, and HBCP is absolutely one of them. So it's HBCP, Kepler, and J01, in my opinion, are probably like legit the top 3 boards. There's some other really amazing 65s that are coming out that I felt a couple of at like Bauer and Chimera at Seattle, and they're amazing. But for my everyday, I have to have either numpad on that board or the ability to put numpad next to it. Or it has to fit into my like system of keyboards in some other way. Like J01, even though it's ridiculous, will fit at like the 3rd rig that I have in this room perfectly. So it's like 100% gonna fit into the systems that I have without a numpad. But it's like I gotta normally have to have that numpad because I game with numpad. I'm the weirdo. Yeah, I don't WASD in anything except like Minecraft or where it's not important. But like if I'm FPS gaming, numpad because I'm a
Numpad.
lefty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
There we go.
yeah, so and who wants their hands all bunched up, right? Who
I'm
wants that?
left-handed, but I don't game left-handed.
So, but top boards of all time, I thought about this question specifically. And if I'm talking about modern customs, I'm going to limit it to customs because there are vintage boards and we could go absolutely bananas. But for customs, right? HBCP, the Lin Whale. Like I built somebody's Lin Whale and I was blown away by how awesome it was when I was done. I was like, wow, this is actually way better than I thought it was going to be. The Duck Unicorn X Legend of all things, which I built someone's of, and I'm gonna build someone else's soon because I have one sitting in the corner of somebody else's. And I hated building it, and the PCB had issues, the one that I built for someone else previously, and I had to like repair. I had to do some SMD repair, and it was just a giant pain. And I was so like, I hate this board as I was building it, and I got it all together, and then I typed on it, and I was like, I love this board. I truly love it. And then the Alice. I know that's like it's kind of a cop out almost to say the Alice now because it's so good, and everybody thinks it's really good, but it is actually a great board. I built a couple of those, and
Yeah,
they're just great.
The Alice, and I think all the TGR boards now are like at that level where if you say like that's your favorite board, it's almost like a cop out, you know?
Yeah, so
That's
I'll
what some
throw
people
another one.
think.
I'll throw another one in there. Right, because like to not cop out, and I want to say Kepler, but I feel like that would almost be a cop out because I already said that it was great, and I'll throw in a vintage, the Focus 2000.
Focus 2000.
I have one that I could show you, but it's in the closet right there, so I'm not going to do that. But with the dust cover that came with it,
boom,
it's the way to do it. Anyway,
knock it down. Solid boards. So, and we actually have the OSA, which is an open source Alice that Blind Assassin made. Ours will be coming in most likely this month. I can't imagine why that would take longer than a month.
Yeah,
but you know, it's keyboards. We've got a community based around being patient.
We have pictures of them. They exist. They're
They exist,
in
and that's what
Texas.
matters.
So
if I really wanted to, I could drive to Houston.
drive to wherever.
and
Texas
then
is
go get
huge.
them.
yeah, it's like
I've driven from one side of Texas to the other. It's like 12 hours.
Yeah, it's terrible. But anyway, last but not least, top 4 favorite foods.
This is actually the hardest, right? Because I a couple years ago I was like 100 pounds heavier than I am right now, and I got fat because of really good food. And this is literally too close to call with like big meals. So just like in no particular order, steak, tiramisu. Who doesn't need a great dessert, right? Blackberries, which is weird. You wouldn't. That's like healthy even, but totally into them. And foie gras. I'm not going to give you whole meals because there's too many amazing meals.
You are like the high class dude. You're all about the high class keycap sets and the high class food. Foie gras that's some pricey food there, but it's dang good. It's dang good.
It is dang good. So that's funny, right? Because we were talking about before the stream actually went live. What is it we were talking about? Like boards that I build on my actual stream. Like I was saying, there's a huge, like everybody wants to see really amazing boards, and I want to build really amazing boards on my stream, mostly because I'm just totally into them and want to have all the feels for them and not have to pay necessarily for all of them. But like on my stream, it's kind of the other way too. Like I really want to show all the, like, if customers hit me up and they have something that's unique or something that I think is cool to show people how to build or what the experience can be like, and I can talk about it live, I want to do that, right? So like the plaid, and like I want to build a practice 65. I wanted to do a practice 60 because I was like, I'll just do it. But now there's the practice 65. I'm like gonna jump on one of those just to do one on stream and be like, this is what you can expect if you're just jumping in. Like I kind of want to show on my stream at least like the plethora of things that you might be able to build. A couple of my more like blown away by how good they were builds are the tofu acrylic. I built 2 of those on my stream, and I'm going to build another one for someone else. And like they're not that expensive if you really think about like the total price of a custom, including all the amazing like nice switches and getting a plate and getting a PCB and getting a whatever. You're pretty much not going to get out of the custom realm for cheaper than you will with like KBD fans or maybe KP Republic. Although I think you're sacrificing quality if you go that direction. You're not going to get away from it for cheaper than you probably will on KBD fans. And if you go that way, you're probably looking at just shy of $300 if you're paying someone else to build it.
Yeah.
If you build it yourself, you might be looking at like $250 or $260. Like I think that's just where you're pretty much going to land. And that's with like high-end switches and stabilizers that are good and lubing them well and buying the lube and doing the whole deal. That's it, and that's probably the board. Like that's probably the board if you want something that feels nice. So I was kind of blown away when I built that board the first time.
Absolutely.
So I think that you can get a great experience at most of the price ranges between there and like $1,000. Let's say you buy a Kepler, right? You buy a Kepler and you go with like Alps Browns and SGI Granite, right? You're looking at like $1,500 probably straight up. Paid somebody else to source it all for you and make it happen for you, and they charged a pretty minimal fee to actually do it. I think you're looking at $1,500.
Yeah,
like for all of that stuff.
Crazy. Which you can get a solid board for like half of that. You can get something that outclasses the tofu. Sorry, hold on. 159. Thank you for the.
Please don't ever stop doing that.
Oh,
please don't ever stop doing that.
It's the thing now.
So good.
We have plans for the evolution of it.
Gio from Top Clack hit me up and he was like, dude, that was the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. It's like, you can't stop. And I was like, all right, well, if one person likes it. So.
No, I like it too. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's bananas, but it's awesome.
It makes us laugh, and I think the best part is it makes us both laugh, and then it makes our guests laugh a lot of times. So that's when you know it's good enough to stay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for real.
And so, sorry, I've been doing follows, but Doin Hanley, I'm so bad at this. ISO returns and Tiny Shiny Chrome. Thank you guys for the follow. But yeah, you can get,
TSC is my mod, by the way. Tiny Shiny Chrome.
Oh, nice.
Well, TSC, welcome. And I saw Boop Beep Bep, which is BBB in my channel. Those guys are awesome. There's a bunch of other people in here that I noticed. Probably a bunch of them are from you rating me, which is awesome. But
It is
nice to
funny
see all
in
these
like
guys in here.
in the Twitch. It's like, who do you share the most viewers with? It's now you
Me.
because of the like because of the
Thanks.
raid and then people sticking around. Or it's like,
Thanks.
dude,
I mean, it's awesome.
it's awesome.
And honestly, like I love seeing a lot of these names, and I watch your guys's. Like I said before, like I watch your guys' stream usually the following Tuesday before my stream, so it's like fresh in my mind. That actually isn't how it played out this week. I watched it on the weekend, but like it's kind of awesome because I see the people and I'm like, oh yeah, hell yeah, these guys are all busy in there. I wish I could like have said something, but oh yeah, I was streaming, which I love too. But still, I'm like, man, I would have typed this during that time.
But Jay Shuff, 500 bits. Thank you. By the way, we got a new donation, our Spooktober donation, because it's going to be spooky.
Oof.
Gio just joined right as I'm sitting at the airport.
Literally just
Instant
high warm.
There it is. Gio.
That means he missed the entire thing where you guys were talking about how he was like, no, you gotta keep
like I literally just told the story about the other day, Gio, when you hit me up. But no, Spooktober. We'll do something crazy for like Halloween.
Yeah.
If we hit our goal, we'll do something. We'll make a GMK Halloween theme.
I want to see costumes themed after
that can happen.
Listen, I already look like Fat Thor, so like
I want to see costumes themed after GMK key sets.
Ooh,
I like
that's actually
it.
a really good idea.
Dibs on camping, but like old school camping.
Of course.
Can I?
Well, yeah. So, are you guys jumping in on the Japanese camping?
I'm not, because I already have camping. I probably will get the novelties, but I am not someone that likes something so much that I need to have two of them. And that's coming from someone who owns two TX60s, but they are different.
So I own a TX 84 and a TX 84 SE.
There you go. Different.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And the 87 SE is coming out in like 2 months.
And I'm not going to buy one because I already own two TX TKLs. So I'm going to jump in on it. I am, and I'll tell you why. Because my GMK camping has some shine on it, and I want to have, and I'm gonna get the Latin Legends for it specifically so that I can have a clean Latin Legend set for display.
Okay.
Like I need to have it, right? I don't own doubles of any key set other than SGI beige. So like
I thought about it.
That is the one though. If you're gonna have a double of like any other key set just for display purposes, I feel like you got to go with camping, Olivia, or Shoko, or maybe white on black, just because it was cheap.
But white on black looks so amazing when it's super super shiny. It looks really really good when it's really shiny. I mean, all sets look really good when they're really shiny, as our exclamation point shine command quotes a good friend of both of our streams, Heinebush. but yeah, I think white on black looks
Shout
great
out to
shined.
Heine for being awesome. It does. My Shoko is probably the most shined GMK set I own, which is crazy because it hasn't been out actually that long.
That's like I was at the meetup the other day. I saw Hamon. It was the second shiniest set I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
Behind Tyson's 9009, which is like smooth. If you manage, like your fingers would literally slip off of the keys. They're that shiny. But lived in. But no, there's Hamon set that was just like so shiny, and I was like, oh dang. So, but hold on, just
oh please, yes, more.
3,333 bits for Talisman Solutions. Thanks, my homie.
Thank you, Talisman. We appreciate it, my dude. Moving from second to first, taking over the first place in the bits department over Rick Clack.
Yeah,
So
I'll tell one
appreciate
now. She is probably just putting headphones on to listen to music when my wife's sitting next to me, and I was sitting there hitting the thing, and she's like reaching for the headphones. I'm sorry.
oh man.
So, but no, she's.
But no, I don't think I'll be getting camping round 2. I think it's funny how it was always marketed as camping in Japan, and then on the novelty site it's just GMK camping round 2.
Yep.
Because they're offering the Latin legends, right?
legends.
So it's like the only thing I'm bummed about actually is that they aren't offering the R1 novelties.
Yes.
Yep.
Like
Yes.
the R1 novelties were effing amazing. They were so good.
Dude, that little trailer is my absolute favorite.
Yep.
I'm not even sure I've seen the trailer.
It's a little trailer hitch. It's like a little
the novelty.
The novelty.
Yeah.
It comes in the base.
I'm not gonna pull them out. Yes,
Yeah.
I was like, no.
But no, I'm just glad that he's doing the novelties outside of base for 2 reasons. One, it makes the base kit cheaper, and 2, someone like me who has round 1, which I got lucky. I need to go find the Reddit post and be like, thank you, because some random dude was like, by the way, camping's on kono.store right now. I was like, oh, this is like, because it came out, I got in the hobby, and then like a month or 2 after camping was in group buy, and so I got it on extras. And this is before extras this is when extras actually lasted like a day or 2.
Wait, what? You're newer than I am? Didn't it come
Probably.
out in like August of last year? June of last year?
That's when
wow.
that's when it shipped, was August.
Oh, okay. Well, there were extras though on Kono.
Yeah, and
that's when I got into the hobby, and I was like, I could buy this, and then I didn't.
Oh, that's okay. I got in pretty soon after group buy.
Okay.
I got in right before Olivia went to group buy, about a month or 2 before Olivia. But I need to go find that, because someone was like, hey, by the way, these are up on sale. And then I bought the base kit, and then like 2 days later I was like, oh, I need to get the space bars too. So
I do want to.
The only part I don't own.
Do you want to give a shout out? I don't know if this is 159 or not, because I know 159's name is Josh. I think it's Josh. That's correct. But Josh, thank you for the $10, and then additional $10 that says Streamlabs promo gift from Josh. I'm assuming that they're running some sort of promo that I did not know about. Is that you? Okay. Well, thank you.
It's all
thank
good,
you for
man.
the $20.
Well, the 10 of it was free, so.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know that was a thing, so that's pretty freaking cool.
I didn't know it was a thing until I did it either. I was just like, $10.
It was funny because it came in and it just said and I hear it in my ears, and the little, like, it's like the girl voice I have through Streamlabs, and it's just like, Streamlabs promo gift from Josh.
It's really just that I want to see like a tent inside of Chewy's room while you guys do the Halloween closest stream.
You know, if the Halloween stream might have to be the first stream that we do together. We might have to organize that.
It's October 30th,
It'll
which
be 30th,
is
yeah.
perfectly timed. I forgot who we're interviewing that day, but I'll have to let him know.
Hey, by the way, it's going to be a little bit crazy.
Chewy's going to be camping.
What are you going to do? You need to pick one of the anime girls that's been made of.
Dude, no, I was thinking I could be GMK Taro. I could dress up like a boba tea.
A boba tea, perfect. Or you could just
you're just gonna have to stand in your cup the whole time.
That'll be great, because I'm 6'2". That'll be awesome.
Just do.
Are you really 6'2"?
Hey,
yeah.
Mr. Sleeves, and just be Nathan Kim.
It's like when you meet Brian the first time from Top Clock.
Yeah, he's
like, wow, this dude is really tall. Like, okay.
We were playing
I'm sure he's watching or will.
Like, we were playing games with him last night, and we were talking about height difference, because I am 5'11", which means I am tender 5 feet tall. And we were just talking about how the height difference, and how he's just, because he was like, "Oh wow, you're a little guy." It's like, "Yep." Well, short me.
the first time I saw him, I was like, wow, you're just taller than I expected, dude.
See, I'm 6'2", and I've always felt small because my dad's 6'4", and my brother's 6'7", and so I've always been the short guy.
Which is
So,
bananas. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm like almost 5'11", like real close. Close enough to probably call 5'11", but not gonna, because it just seems pretentious. Call it 5'10" and 3/4.
There you go. So, so I do have one question. Where did I am me, you are you come from?
Okay, so
The history of that
this
for
is
those
it's
who
not
don't know.
it's not crazy. It's not a great story. It's just I kept trying a million names and I got really mad like on AOL Instant Messenger. You guys
Oof.
remember that?
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Bob's daughter
Back
1 2 3
back
4.
in
Come on,
back in the day.
don't ask. Don't know.
So
Actually,
remember
there is a
mine.
story behind that, but we
wow,
can get
dude.
into that
Wow.
later.
So I had a 4-digit ICQ number back in the day. But like that's been okay. Yeah. So anyway, so AOL Instant Messenger, I tried like 50 names. I tried like 50 names. And at the end I was just like, I don't know, man. I am me, you are you. Done. And it worked. And then I was like, okay, fine. 51 gets it. I don't know if it was actually 51, but it was a ton of names.
Oh,
Yeah, so I was like, it's staying. And it's bad. It's bad because it's not a good name for a streamer to have at all. Like it's terrible. It's like I don't remember. I was talking to Nathan Kim the first time I talked to him, I think, in his stream. He was like, how do I say this? And I corrected him and just said, yeah, whatever, just call me Josh. And so he calls me Josh for the most part now. But I hit him up some other time, we were talking about something else, and I was like, yeah, dude, I don't know, maybe I should change my stream name, but like now it's just my stream, right? And he's like, yeah, I ran into that too. Because it's Teja Types, and it's like everybody just knows me by my actual name now. And I was like, fuck. I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it. Whatever. Whatever. Like I don't need to be I don't know. I'm not investing enough time in it to be like
Mhm.
super huge, right? Or enough energy into
Yeah.
it. Some people are like Nathan, for instance, right? Like super reaching out to the whole community and getting everybody pulled in and now full time, which is just blows my mind.
it's insane. It's insane to think. It's awesome.
I'm so happy for him, but it
Mhm.
just blows my mind. Like I couldn't imagine leaving job. Like the amount of like even if
And
like
like a
I'm
good
nowhere
job,
close.
not like, oh, I was a
Yeah,
delivery driver and then I got, this became a thing. Like a good job.
yeah. Like I'm nowhere close to the number of streamers or viewers or any. Like I'm not a partner. You're not a partner. Like he's literally the only one, right? So
Mhm.
in our hobby at least. So like looking at that, I'm like, even if I got to the point where it could be financially feasible to do that thing and then just do this full time, like I don't know how I would make that jump.
Mhm.
Like if you're middle class or upper middle class, which I'm guessing is probably where he was at based on what his job was, right? Like how do you decide all of a sudden that you're going to give up a career
Yeah.
and just full-time stream? That's like a serious
That's a lot of
reflect
lost
upon
sleep.
all, yeah, reflect upon your life because you're making a crazy serious decision. I don't know. I mean, it's funny to like academically just on the surface think about it, and then to like actually consider it. Like, what would it be like? It's crazy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with Jay Shuff. It's just like
Yes.
how like in 40 years, let's say this lasts 5 years and then it's no longer feasible or whatever. At least when in 40 years from now, you can be like, yeah, I did it and it was awesome.
I
So
actually don't think it's going away. I
I
don't
don't
think
think
our
it's going
hobby is
away
going away at
either.
all.
No.
I don't think it's going to go away until
It's shoes, dude.
until Ready Player One takes over. Like I don't think keyboards are going anywhere. But
No, this is badass kicks in
mhm.
Yeah.
its like crawl stage or in its starting to stand and walk stage. That's
Mhm.
where we are right now. It's just you're like super into badass shoes. and it's
Yeah.
going to get crazy because
And-
literally every GMK set now is like every GMK set that was desirable at all is like $350, $400. Like Shoko, I have Shoko on my desk right now. It's like the most shined set I have, and probably could still get $350 for it. Like I have camping, and whoever sold me camping, by the way, if you're watching the stream and you know who I am, thank you for not ripping me off. You're awesome. Like for not being a flipper. Because I didn't buy it when it came out. I bought it like a few months ago, and it was like not really any more than it probably actually cost, all said and done, shipped to that guy plus the shipping to me.
Yeah.
Probably exactly where it should have been. So like, but the truth is you could flip it, right? Don't,
Exactly.
because that does in fact make you an asshole. That's how I feel about it. You, viewer, makes you an asshole. But like you could, and in my mind, it's just like we were crawling and we're starting to walk. We're starting to like stand up and almost about to walk stage of like high-end tennis shoes or high-end audio equipment or high-end anything that's bespoke shit.
Yeah.
And I think
that's where we're at.
I think too it helps that things like esports are being more widely accepted, because then that gets, if you think about that, gets kids started earlier into things like getting their first mechanical keyboard, whether it's like a Corsair or a Logitech, and then there are some that go down that rabbit hole. I mean, think about the fact that part of the reason why Nathan is as big as he is his integration with other streamers and building boards for people like Pingu and
Community outreach
Dizzy,
for sure.
like building boards for big esports athletes, and it gets all these people who had no idea that this even existed, who may have the income to support the hobby, or
all the people who go to Shroud's stream.
Right.
I don't know. I don't actually know what Shroud has. I'm still hooked on PUBG as stream viewing, whatever. But and look at his rig, right? And they're like, I mean, I have a what is it? I have a G903, but everybody's got the G Pro wireless now.
Yep.
Right. Everybody's got the Logitech badass, which is not badass at all by our standards, but you know what I mean? Equivalent and keyboards. They've got like all
my
that.
favorite CS:GO player used a G403 for like 4 months, and that's why I have a G403. And I now have a G703 because this one died, but still, like people look at. I mean, you look at what people have, and this is why it's this is all. I mean, this kind of is converted even to on a smaller scale of our community, where Nathan Kim can say this board's great, and that board's going to suddenly be the most popular board in the world. And on the flip side, unfortunately, Nathan Kim and Top Clack and basically all of us content creators could go, this Switch is bad, and then that Switch will fall because people go, okay, well, they won't go test it themselves. Which, and I'm just at fault to this as well, is if a bunch of people are saying, hey, this isn't that great, you're probably not going to get that big of a like traction on it. So when a board gets sent, now we haven't really seen someone outwardly be like, this board's bad, you shouldn't buy this, because I think a lot of content creators try to, and we actually talked about this with Nathan
talking that, but
yeah,
I have an example.
We talked with Nathan about this, where you try and be as opinionated as possible, but sometimes I still feel like there's some boards that are just, people go, and like they don't want to say like, oh, I don't like this is bad. And so it's happened before, but it does seldomly happen, because I do think there are a lot of people, the people that make good quality boards make good boards, and the people that don't make the highest quality boards, is that the salamander?
It's the salamander.
I mean, I agree generally with what you have to say, but this board is a great example of boards that, while I love the experience that I have with this board in some ways, also strongly dislike some things about this board. and have criticized it harshly, and a lot of others have also. I generally agree with what you're saying.
Mhm.
For the most part, nobody's trash talking or slamming some board.
Yeah.
Even if
and TSC is saying something that, which if you're giving constructive criticism, then yes, that's a good thing. But if you're just like, this is bad and this sucks and you shouldn't buy it,
You have
we
to have
don't
a
see
reason.
that often. But yeah, but
You have to have
but
reasoning behind the.
I don't think
liking of
Nathan
it.
Kim would ever do this. But if he just was like, this board's bad, that you would see that drop.
Yeah, but so the constructive criticism thing that TSC is saying, right? So, like, I think a lot of us try really hard in the content creator community, try really hard to be constructively criticizing and not just destroy anyone else. And that's a really good thing. It's honestly, it's like one of the last few parts of our hobby. And I hate to say this because I actually don't have a bleak outlook for our hobby. I think that more people is better in a really in a really serious way, right? Getting more mainstream is better. As bad as it can be, it's actually going to help because everybody's going to be like, "Oh, there's mechanical keyboards. We can get into this." And we're going to get more key sets and we're going to get more boards and we're going to get more good and we're going to get more bad as a result of it. But
Mhm.
overall, even though the top end might actually come down, which is definitely possible, the bottom and the middle are going to come way up as a result of
Mhm.
it. Like, so even though that's really the case, right? The one bad thing that I can absolutely say will happen is there will eventually be people who are content creators. I'm knocking on wood because I don't want this to happen. Like, I really don't want this to happen. But there will be some content creator sometime that lashes out in a way that seems destructive, not constructive. It has to happen, right?
Mhm.
At some point, look at literally the history of Twitch, streaming, social media, or any way that people interact with each other. It has to happen.
Mhm.
So as bad as that is, like as good as the salamander can be, despite its flaws, um, and they exist, someone eventually will find a product that someone else built and they will tear it down. And it'll be bad for the community. It'll be like the first instance of like, and maybe it's already happened, I don't know, but like it'll be the first instance that's major where a content creator just slammed something outright.
Yeah.
And it won't be brutal honesty. It'll actually just be them being really shitty toward a thing.
Mhm.
Because you can be brutally honest and be constructive. You can. This is a great example. I love this board. For all of its flaws, I actually love this board. But it's the board that I love to use as an example of like there are flaws with its high-end construction. It's a $700, $600, whatever. I don't know, somewhere around. I literally don't remember. Somewhere around. This is an original Korean group buy one too, so it's the ones that had the actual like finish flaws, right? Not
Mhm.
the second run where they were a lot better. Where like someone will actually just tear it down and not build it up and be like, it's great in these ways, also it's bad in these ways. Someone won't be an honest reviewer, they'll just slam
Yeah.
it. I don't
And
think
that's
it'll be
why.
somebody who's sponsored or anything and is like
Yeah.
trying to railroad something. No, I don't mean like sponsored people are
Yeah.
better. I'm not sponsored. I have not sought out any sponsors ever. But the truth is that I don't think it'll be somebody who's set in the community who's trying to be good and a good steward. It'll just be somebody who's randomly lashes out.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean that's like I've yet to come across the perfect board. My favorite board personally is the TX60, but the TX60 has flaws because that
Yes.
spacebar, the entire bottom row is just so open that it's rough. Which is literally why I made the Baka 60, because I was like, I want to take what I like about the TX60 and remove what I don't like about the TX60. So
See,
I
my biggest complaint about the TX60 is the the freaking C's that are between the sides and the keycaps. The
oh yeah.
tolerances are just so it's just so wide. There's just so much space between the edge of the caps and the start of the actual edge of the board. So, but there's a lot of people that have pointed that out. It's not very tight. It's one thing we see on a lot of the higher end boards. It gets in nice and tight, while not being too tight to where things rub.
Yeah. Okay. So my thoughts on TX are actually, I'm going to give you my thoughts on TX because
hot takes.
yeah, hot takes, right? So you've said, okay. So for anybody who doesn't know, right, this is actually kind of funny. Anybody who knows me, who's seen my stuff, knows that 60% is bar none the absolute minimum. It is below the minimum number of keys in a layout that I believe I could live with daily. Right? It is actually below the minimum number that I think I could live with daily. 65% is, I believe, the minimum number I can do productivity work with on the regular. Just absolutely. So that being said, I haven't found any great 60s or built any great 60s that I'm like, yes, I need to have one of these. So Chewy accidentally
Oh yeah. No, this is actually really
accidentally
funny. I forgot about this.
invited me to the Baka 60 buy. I don't know, if I'm revealing too much, literally.
No. But it's a very open.
Okay, so accidentally invited me to it because we had just been chatting for the first time, and he just invited.
I was meaning to invite. I was meaning to invite Osiris, but you and I were talking, and Osiris and I were talking. We were just going back. I was just switching between conversations, and I just messed up.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? I'm actually in, and I will tell you that the reason that I was in is because I looked at what you had in the different sections, and I was like, okay, this guy invited me for a reason, right? Like he had to have invited me because he was like, hey, I want you to check this out, right? Like you didn't say anything, but you invited me, and I was like, okay, so all right, sure. I like the design, the aesthetic. And I really like the concept of what you're going for, which was to make the TX60, but just better. But just better and what you want, right? And so I was looking at it, I was like, no. I will, of the customs world, I will say that TX is at the very bottom of the stack. Almost always. Like if you take TX boards and you stack them against any other high-end custom, they fall to the bottom of that stack.
Yeah.
Of the high-end customs, they fall to the bottom of that stack, and that is no knock on them because they're literally at the bottom of the highest bracket that exists.
Right.
They are.
Yeah.
So that's a great place to be because they also fall into the bottom price bracket.
Yep.
For that high end, right? And that puts you in the best market that exists. Like you can be TGR and sell out 100 boards and have to do the craziest quality control, and the quality control is decent on TX boards. I'm not knocking it, but for not that much less, but at the bottom of that stack, price wise, you get the TX boards, and the TX boards represent the highest value in that stack.
Mm-hmm.
Because absolutely, when you get to the top end of any hobby, the highest value resides at the bottom of that stack by necessity, right? Value is definitely functionality versus cost. And so a $10 or $15 that works okay and sounds okay, capacitive keyboard is clearly higher value than an HBCP.
Yeah.
Which I am calling my favorite keyboard. Right? Literally my favorite keyboard that I own and my favorite modern custom keyboard that I've used. The end.
Nope.
Right? There are a few other boards that are right there with it that I'm saying are really great. But I've had a lot of experience on this one, and because I built one, and I'm one of the few people at this point that has, and I'm saying that it's still there. But if you look at the value equation for this versus a TX board, So I don't remember the exact cost of this to me. I also jumped in on the actual group buy on a polycarb one. So there's that. Right? But
Hey, double down, man.
yeah, it was just that good, right? Atomic
Real
Purple for the win.
Quick pause. I'm waiting until Eric laughs. There it is. That's enough for Bear. Welcome, better late than never, my dude.
Yeah, so I don't know. So basically what I'm saying about TX boards is that even though they're at the bottom of that stack, they represent the best value. Anybody that wants to get an actual custom board should consider jumping on a TX board. A TX84, TX84 SE, a TX75, a TX60. Despite the flaws that you're talking about, a TX60 represents a good value.
It's still an amazing board. My flaws are like,
It's pretty small.
What I've been discussing, a lot of them are like, it's, once you've been in the hobby for a while, you really start to pick up what you don't like. And once you own multiple boards, you start to go, okay, I like this. I wish this, when you start going, I wish this was on that. That's when you start going, okay, these are my preferences that I want. And that's why the Win Keyless Tofu is one of my favorite boards, because it's an integrated it's hot swap. Hot swap's great for, we were talking about hot swap before. Hot swap's great for testing switches.
I've shit to talk about that board. Okay.
But I like it because the integrated plate and the fixed layout is exactly what I want. My biggest complaint about the Tofu is that it doesn't have a stepped caps lock. That's literally my only complaint. And then the Win Keyless, Gondo even said, Win Keyless is, to me, one of the best layouts. It looks the cleanest, and you can still, as a gamer, use a control. And while HHKB looks great, I cannot switch over to the caps lock control. And so, once I started going, oh, these are my favorite things, then you start going, okay, well, when it doesn't have that, I no longer like that as much. So these are nitpicky things that through experience I've figured out. So
absolutely. And
yeah, so I'm a Win Keyless guy too, so I agree.
It's crazy to me too, like after being in this hobby for a little while and kind of understanding what I like, how quickly I can perceive whether or not I like something. Like even at a meetup, I can spend 3 or 4 minutes with a board, and I can just be like, I don't like this about it, and I can like tell. And it's just crazy to me because a year ago when I went to my first meetup, I couldn't do that, could not do that.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. And now it's like even just a little over a year later, I'm like, I have so much more appreciation for things and for the minute things. And I think that's one thing that's awesome. And as you said, as the community gets bigger and there's tons of people, that means more options, which means you can be even pickier. Like that's my favorite thing, is I can be as picky as I want. If I don't want your board because I don't like the layout or the way you've shifted a key over just 0.25, then I can have that opinion, and that like,
yep,
it's awesome.
I can even choose another one.
Right.
I can even literally just be like, you know what I'm going to do instead? Have my own made.
Yep, that's
because
literally what I did.
Fuck you guys, right? For real though, like, sorry, I'm not actually flipping any of you.
You're
guys
good.
off. I'm just saying. Well, I saw it on the stream and I was like, don't flip people off. It's not nice. So I don't want to get too distracted, right? So I was talking about that TX thing, but I wanted to loop that back to your GB because this is important, right? Like you accidentally invited me, and I was like, I evaluated the GB, and this isn't like me building you up. This is me literally saying, okay, so I examined the thing, and I was like, you know what? I have had a couple 60%, including the tofu hot swap, which I sold, and actually I have things to knock about at least the copy that I got. One, the first top that I got didn't have a fully it didn't have a full depth thread cut in the center post. So when I screwed the thread in, they used these really soft zinc
snapped.
zinc plated, it just snapped instantly. It hit the bottom and it just snapped. Like oh, I'm feeling it tighten up. It was just like bink, done. And I couldn't get it out. Right?
Oof.
Yes. So I was like, okay, so this is shit. The other thing is that sliding USB-C port cover in the back. So mine was bowed just a tiny little bit. And so for me, it wasn't a big deal. Even though this is one of the first boards that I ever custom built, for me, it wasn't that big of a deal because I've done some other types of hobbyist manufacturing guns, right? It's no secret on my stream, right? Like I've talked about Cerakoting things before. That's where it comes from. So, but I've done hand fitting of metal parts into other metal parts. So I took that brass weight and I set it on a flat surface and put a piece of sandpaper down and just flattened the bottom. I didn't ruin the finish on the front, the part that you see, but on the bottom I sanded it with like 220, then I sanded it with like 1500 and 4000 grit sandpaper and just got it polished again. Because then I also have some lapping or some polishing compound. Anyway, so I got it all nice, right? I put it back in and I was like, okay, now this fits. But like, if I didn't know anything about this, I would be so mad at this board. They replaced the top for the screw, but or the bottom top. I don't remember at this point. I think it was the top actually. I think the plate screws onto the top, right? Pretty sure that's how that goes.
The plate,
Anyway.
well, on the wind keyless one, the plate is
Mine was the wing
the
keyless.
top piece. So it's
Yeah,
the entire
that's
top
right, because
half
it's a
the
fixed
board.
plate. Yes,
Yeah,
so
it's integrated, so it's just all one
Yeah.
piece.
So you screw the PCB down to the top. That's how that worked.
Mhm.
Yes. Anyway, point is they replaced the top. Then I had that issue with the weight, which I fixed, no big deal. But like if I was just jumping into the hobby, I would have been so mad.
Yeah.
So mad at that. I would have been like, there's no way to fix this brass that's bent just a tiny little bit, just a few thousandths up in each corner and a few thousandths lower in the middle, and it just doesn't fit in anymore.
Mhm.
Right? So it's almost unnoticeable visibly, but is noticeable when you try and fit the part in. So I was like, ah, man, F this. Right? But what you were talking about with the TX60 is that you were trying to clone that, but actually just make something a little bit better in the ways that it's flawed. And I was like, I'm so in to have a 60% in my repertoire, right? Like if you're new to the hobby, you're probably not like, I'm going to get a layout keyboard that isn't my favorite layout or isn't a layout I'm super into to use in an isolated case where someone might use a layout that isn't their go-to layout.
Yeah.
But for me, right, and you and whoever, like if someone was selling a really premium version of a nice layout that you wanted, you'd jump in on it, even if it wasn't a layout that you're going to use all day, every day, right? If you're like, no, that's an awesome idea. So that's why, even though you accidentally invited me, I was like, no, I'm down for this. I'm on board with the idea, with this concept. I'm doing it.
And and you bring up a good point, which because Osiris and I have different 60% layout preferences.
So you're win keyless. I'm gonna point up because stream, and then
well,
I'm gonna point
I like 7U bottom row.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. Yeah, Sangan all the way for me. Sangan bottom row all the way, whether it's win keyless or not, but preferred.
I prefer visually 7U bottom row, but for the amount of keys that I like to have, I like the 6.25 because I like having the extra key there.
On the right side, the fourth
key.
Okay, so I'm now super curious. Like, what do you use? Do you use all those keys? Okay.
So I have
it's funny because
I have it mapped differently. So I have right now for me I have normal on left side, normal, Control Windows Alt, spacebar, Alt, delete, function, Control. I don't know why.
Wow, you're actually like almost convincing me. No. So this is the deal. Like I have said, the reason that it's hard for me to go to 60 is one, I can't do split backspace. Every time I've done it for somebody else's board, it drives me absolutely bananas. crazy, right? So I am always looking for a delete because there's 3 keys just for typing, no gaming, just for typing. There's 3 keys that I absolutely have to have that don't exist on D, right? And that is delete, home, and end. Like I have to, because I am continuously shift home or shift ending to like select everything after or before a point,
Mm-hmm.
and then hitting delete literally to delete it. So like in my mind, it's like, no, I have to have these. So actually that right side makes sense to me. Here's the kicker. I don't use my controller alt at all on the right side of my keyboard. Literally every time I control alt, it's on the left. So 7U could actually work for me in the layout you're talking about, where I just have function and delete on the bottom row on that right side for win keyless type thing. But I'm sold on the delete on the bottom row. That actually sounds cool.
Delete on bottom row is nice.
I'd be willing to give it a try.
Because
like
I do a lot of contract work. Like I work on a lot of contracts, so I'm in Word a lot and in Excel and then in different like sales programs like Salesforce and stuff. So I have to use delete. It's just easier a lot of times. Like sometimes backspace just is, it's not as easy.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm delete all the time. Delete is like my delete key gets as much use as my backspace.
Right. Well, and for me,
except for when I'm doing typing tests, in which case backspace, I'm like, no, I totally fucked that up.
For me, it makes more sense, right? Because like if I'm working in a Word document, like having delete, like if I had arrows, I wouldn't need delete as much, right? Because then I could just maneuver around different text and use backspace a little bit easier, like a little bit quicker. But having delete makes it easier, so I don't have to like go in and like adjust, like pinpoint adjust. I can maneuver through documents, through spreadsheets quicker and edit them quicker by having both delete and backspace. It's such a weird thing, and I feel like someone is just cringing super hard hearing me talk about this, but it's,
I'm not cringing, man. Like that's one of the beauties of our community, right? Like like all the people, like that's where I was saying the number of people as it increases, right? The quality of the experience for everyone is actually going to go up. There are some people where it will go down. There are people that are at the highest end that are snobby, and it will go down. And that probably actually includes all of us. It does. Like I hate that, but it's true, right? Because we've gotten to the point where we're like, oh no, we need to be in this thing. We need to be like in the like top end. I need this awesome board that's about to come out. I need this awesome key set that is legit running for like $300 almost. Right? Go ahead and jump on Canon Keys or Dixie Mech or Kono or wherever and literally add every kit for a group by key set to your cart. Go all the way up to right before you're going to check out and look at what that price is going to be shipped to your house. And I swear to you, it's going to be like $260, $280.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we're at that end, right? Like I buy the numpad for literally every key set I own. I just do. I want it. It's important. I'm probably one of the few people that's mad that DCS Yuri Alps is not going to have a numpad set.
Oof, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Give me the numpad, especially with the 1U0. I need it. I need it for 1800.
Not only do I need the numpad, but I need the specific pad.
You know what I mean though? Like that's the thing, right? You're totally right. So it's like we're at that high end. So it'll come down a little bit for us sometimes. It will, because all the people coming up, there will be like 9/10 of our community will be in that newbie status, and they'll be like, "No, man, I want to buy the $50 Ducky keycap set from mechanicalkeyboards.com because it's shine through, and duh, I want RGB that shines through. Who doesn't want that?" Right? I don't want that. I don't give a shit about that. I could not give less shits about that than I currently do.
It's funny whenever I get a PCB that has RGB on by default, the first thing I'm like is, how do I turn this stuff off?
Need to grab
How do I
another
turn this
set of
off?
tweezers so I can function this out.
Especially when it comes on and it's red. I'm like, this is the brightest damn thing ever. How do I turn this off?
Why? Yeah.
I'm just trying to test the PCB and not burn my retinas.
Yeah. So, like, that's a concern, right? That's a real concern. And you're like, for people who are new, right? They're like, no, I need the RGBs. You don't know how many customers I have hit me up. I'm not hating on them. I actually, as much as it can be difficult to deal with people who are completely new, who know nothing about it, who need to be walked through like what the difference between like plate backlighting, like backlighting that shines around the keycaps versus shine through versus backlighting that glows through your case through a diffuser, right? Like who need to be walked through that. It's funny because I don't really look at those guys like they're an annoyance. I actually like shit, I need to reach out to these guys and like help them understand that they're talking about three different things when they say backlight.
Yeah.
There's like four things really if you consider like in switch LED and not that you might actually be talking about. Right? What kind of backlight do you actually mean? What effect are you actually after? And then you got to like show them pictures. You're like boom, 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 right? Like these are the things you're talking about. So the experience will come down for those of us who are like building for ourselves way up here, because everybody else that's just entry level and working their way up, who's new to it, is going to be like, I want that thing. And then they'll get that thing and they'll be like, this thing is awesome. And then like 3 months later, they'll be watching all the streams. They'll be watching all the group buys that show up and they'll be like, GMK sets are way effing better than any shine through bullshit that Ducky offers. So, or whatever. It's just a name. Not picking on Ducky. Just right. And so they'll be like, oh shit, now I want this thing. And I've had some customers that have done that where they're like, I want this board built. And then the next board, they're like, I want this base. Like I want who's a great example? Okay. So if there's a customer that watches this, they'll understand who they are. But they were like, I want tofu acrylic with all that backlight RGB. And then they're like, I want 75% with a case that is themed to match my keycap set. And then they'll be like, but there isn't one in the correct color. So I'm going to go get somebody to custom anno that for me. Send it, build it. And now they're like, I actually want a premium keyboard. I don't know what layout. Help me pick it. I don't know what switches. Help me pick that. Cost isn't really a big concern. Like, help me pick the right thing for me. Like, help me pick something that's going to be freaking awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, I love this customer. Like, not because he's giving me a bunch of business, which is cool, I guess. I mean, it's not like I'm paying my bills with keyboard builds, really. Kind of just pays every now and then for like extra camera gear or whatever for the stream itself. But it's like, I love this customer because this dude is getting into the hobby and he helping other people see the progression in the hobby too, because I'm streaming it and maybe a number of people are watching me live, but like then I post them on YouTube and I see the number of views and a bunch of people watch that and I'm like, dude, people are seeing this and this is helping people understand. It's even helping me in a way because now I see what this board way down here at the bottom is. I saw what this board way here in the middle is. And now way up here, I maybe have an understanding of what that is. So now I'm just helping that dude pick something that's going to be good for him. You know what I mean? But it helps everybody else in the community too. And so it's going to bring it down for us a little bit, but it's going to bring it up for everyone a lot. And in the end, that will bring it up for us too, because there's still going to be those people hitting the high end who are like, nah, you know what? I'm going to have this manufactured because I think this is a good idea.
Yeah.
Like they are, right? So a great example of that is what we were talking about earlier, Austin, right? Like not a lot of people are into full size in our community.
Right.
But in the regular world, a ton of people are into full size. Full size is the most common layout there is.
Mm-hmm.
The end. And part of it is because of default, but part of it is because of people using it for so long that they're like, no, I want this.
Well, they think that is the keyboard to them. That's what they picture when they hear keyboard. They see the
and they may or
waterfall.
may not be right about them needing that numpad and the win keyless nav cluster, but they're seeing it and they're like, no, that's what I want. But then there are some people who are like, I use the shit out of my 10 key and my nav cluster. I want full size. And then somebody like somebody comes along, right? And is like, no, I want full size and I'm into premium shit. And then is like, well, I can make that a little bit more compact because the width is actually the thing that the people who in our community are like, no, I want to get more of my desk space back. That's why I'm not in a full size. It's not because I hate the numpad or I hate whatever, the nav cluster. It's because I want this. And people will innovate in that way, and it brings the quality up for all of us.
It's all about options. There's more options available.
Yeah.
There's more to
and
choose
there's a
from.
ton more.
And
like
that's
I
how,
have to
that's how it's
choose
going
what
to
I
grow.
get.
That's how we're going to grow is options. When someone comes in and goes, I need this. Okay, well, I can point you to that. Before this year, in 2018, there weren't that many options. And so it was kind of like, hey, I want a really nice full size. All right. Good
luck.
Or like, I want like a super high end.
I'm listening.
Yeah, you're good. It's like, I want a super high end this, or I want actually what we hear actually probably even more is I want a very affordable TKL that's got, the weight and brass plate and all that stuff. And you're just like, tough. Sorry, bud. Like, and they're like, but like tofu prices for a TKL. And I'm like, you're not going to get tofu prices for a TKL unless you go buy a plastic board, which there's nothing wrong with some of those plastic boards. But, if you're wanting, the KBD 8X and now the Mark II, but if you're wanting something that's,
which are both great boards.
Solid steel, they're great boards.
I hear it's great
solid
about the Mark
steel.
II.
I'm waiting on mine. Hopefully,
Me too.
We'll see.
and my KBD Pad V2 also. But the V1, I built one recently, and it was actually good.
I had one, and it was wound up kind of. I've talked about this before, where got a lot of stuff, realized what I liked, sold everything, and then kind of almost started over. And so
159 plastic boards, you say, coming in with the Sirius, which I am waiting.
Oh.
I'm waiting on the Sirius, which I did want to bring that up because we were actually, Chewy and I were talking about it last night about the fact that, like, personally, I bought Winkila Sirius with an extra plate and the weight, right? And I came out after shipping under, like, it was like $326, I think is what it was after everything. That's insane. Like, the base price was $225.
Tofu acrylic, go fuck yourself.
Basically, and it's like,
for real.
This is a board
you don't get all the
that
glow
is,
the same way, but
this is a board that's like super hype.
better.
Everyone who has seen it I have not heard a negative thing about it that I'm like where I'm worried about it. Like, I've heard things about
can't
Palm.
have a bad anodization.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so
I've heard things
I'm
about
gonna
Palm
say-
being a little bit loose on the plate.
I gotta say something about Sirius. So if you're one of the people who jumps on the FOMO train, like you're like, oh, I'm gonna miss out if I don't buy this thing, and then you still in fact didn't buy the Sirius, you fucking missed out, bro.
Yep, we were just talking about this.
I saw it at Seattle, and I didn't jump in on it, so I fucking missed out. I'm not the fear of missing out guy, but I did miss out because I saw it and I felt it and I typed on it, and at the Top like Mod House, Geo can attest. Actually, a bunch of 159 can attest. A bunch of people in here. I fucking had a bunch of time to fondle that in like a decent space with a bunch of people who were there and who were like, like letting people just feel it. I mean, I think Dixie fondled his own board and the Sirius for like, I don't know, fucking 3.5 hours. I don't know how long it was. I left and he was still there, and he's many past me. So for 3.5 hours that I was there, but I fucking missed out, and so did you if you didn't buy it. Actually, Sirius is a great board. It sounds fucking spectacular. I can't hype how much the sound is actually amazing. It was a great board. It was. It's one of the few that I miss that there's a couple that I regret missing out on things. It's one of them.
Yeah.
It's one of the few.
I actually initially did not get in on it, but then I talked to Brian from Top Clack. I mean, I play Overwatch with him quite often, and actually with 159 sometimes, and Geo and Chewy, and Brian.
I'm down to get down, but I'm fucking terrible at that game.
Brian just kept talking about how good it was, and I was like, man, I really am bummed that I missed out. And it was like right in that weekend that he opened it up, because he opened it up again for like a weekend. And I think it was only for a certain number of slots. I can't remember when, but that's when I got in on it. As soon as I heard that, I got in on it, and I was like, I'm so happy. I don't feel like I missed out anymore, because I've missed out on a few things. I missed out on Olivia because I was just like, oh, I don't know if I like this. I missed out on Serica. I missed out on Red Samurai. I've missed out.
I'm not butthurt about not getting in on Serica. Most overhyped key set, in my opinion, that exists. Shots fired. Who like I'm not. To each their own, but for me, I'm like $600.
Oh yeah.
Probably wouldn't jump in on it for the same as the regular initial G-base set for me personally.
I mean,
I just can't stand those colors
price.
together.
To me, at group buy price, it was worth it. After market price, not even remotely close to it. My thing is, if I can buy 2 brand new sets for the price of one like aftermarket set, then I'm like, what's the point? I'll wait 6 months to get both the sets. Like, I've got keycaps sitting in a drawer that don't have a home. Like, I'll wait.
I have way more keycap sets than I do boards.
Right.
Same.
What am I going to do with all of them?
Actually, well, I just need my boards to show up. But,
yeah, true.
That's a different story.
Same
Fair.
here.
So actually, I didn't jump in on Sirius, even though it was a good deal. It even seemed like a good deal at the time. I didn't jump in on it because I jumped in on Kepler. I was ready to jump in on number 2. I was ready to pull that trigger, and those happen really down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jane V2 CE. I was like ready to jump in on those, and I didn't get in on CE or number 2. I tried. I added 3 different number 2s to my cart during the GB. 3 different ones because they had them all listed on the. Add this one. No, sold out. Add this. Damn it. And so it just didn't work, right? Yeah, Talisman's right. That weekend was rough for the wallet. So at the same time, some other people invited me to some other GBs that were going on that were private, and I was like, you know what? That's actually an awesome board. I'm not sad that I missed out on those. I'll jump in on that because that's actually really cool. So I jumped in on some other stuff, but that I'm waiting on now. So I won't call it out. But one day I'll be like, this is the thing we're waiting for. But yeah, so I didn't jump in on Sirius because I was like, dude, it's a plastic board, and I was trying to save up money for this, but then I jumped in on some other premium high-end boards, and I missed out. I literally did. 159, dude, it was a great board. It is a great board. Please run it again. Please run it again.
Osiris got in on it because he asked me, he's like, are you going? I thought about it, but we are doing a bad job, but trying to not own all of the same boards. Just because then it's like, well, okay, if you could spend your money on this, then I'll spend my money on this, and then we can, we live 20 minutes away from each other, so we can share the wealth. That hasn't really panned out since.
I mean, I live like the last board we got away, but like, we got. Shipping's cheap.
The last board that we got is going to be, and the next board we both buy is going to be the same board, but still.
Yeah, we both have 2x60. Both have Osa. Both are going to have Baka. We both have minimal. We both have 9s coming, and we technically both have waves coming.
I plan on.
But you plan on getting rid of your waves.
So this is the only month. This is since waves came out. This is the first month. This one that just passed. That I haven't jumped in on a Cannon Keys key cap set group buy.
Peaches and cream.
And I was so close to jumping in on First Love. So close. But I was like, nah, dude, like, no, I can't. too many other sets.
I think last month was the first month I haven't bought a key set in a while, since April, I think. I think that was the first.
You didn't buy any last month?
I didn't buy any last month.
9009 R3. Do you have 9009 otherwise?
I don't. But I'm not.
I have muted.
EPBT 9009 is good. It's not
Yeah.
going to be as good as GMK, but it'll be good.
The only
It is good to have.
the only real reason I considered buying 9009 was not because of the key set, like the actual colors or anything, was because I wanted to have. I want the new legend
Legends.
placement, the centered legends, because I think that's gonna look really, really good. But at the same time, I'm just like, I've already got. I feel like if I was gonna get another set that was like a more minimal plain set, the set that I really, really want, that I probably will never get at a reasonable price, is GMK Metaverse. Not because of any of the novelties, but I love, like, to me, that set has the best implementation of sub-legends, and it's like a really classic color. I love the way it looks. I don't love
sub-legends.
I don't love sub-legends, but I like the way sub-legends look on just that set, and I love the way it looks. No novelties, no red keys, all the black on white. I think
just
it looks
monochrome,
great.
basically just monochrome sub-legends.
Yeah, monochrome sub-legends.
It's kind of like a mix between monochrome.
Sorry, I have to interrupt because I'm super late. I'm super late on Hanyut, which I hope you're enjoying the KBD 75. And Rick Clack, thank you for the 4 months. I think he might be, or no, Bear's our first 4-monther. God, we're at 4 months. No, yeah, we're at 4 months. Damn. All right, sorry. Continue.
No. Don't be sorry. Like, that's awesome. Congrats on your 4 months.
Thank you.
So Metaverse it's like, looking at it right now, it's like a mix. It's like a monochrome Led Zepp with sub-legends. Yeah, I'm not into sub-legends at all, so I wouldn't do it personally, but I understand what you're saying.
It just
Like,
looks
it
so
is
good
actually
to me.
beautiful. It's like monochrome Led Zepp, which Led Zepp is one of the few sets I don't own that I'm actually like, if I ever see it for a really great deal, and I do see it pop up every now and then, but it's always sold by the time I jump on it. And I need to set up a bot filter for it. Pro tip: there's a way of setting up bot filters for /r/McMarket. In case you didn't know that, but
dot.
Yeah, there is a way of doing that, and it will just alert you on Discord when that search string pops up. But Led Zepp is one of those that I probably one day need to do that because Led Zepp is great. Yeah, so man, that is a beautiful set. I totally get where you're coming from with it.
Yeah. The only real set that I'm like bummed about that I didn't get is one that is getting around too, which is Taro. That was one that I guess group buy happened. I'm pretty sure during the month that I was talking to Osiris about, hey, like what board am I going to be building? I'm pretty sure that's when it was running.
Yeah.
And then
early 2018, like
early 2018, and
so before I was into the hobby.
Yeah, and so when it came out, I was like, oh, cool, I'll go get an extra, and that was like Taro extras was right when the extras race started. You know, where like you can't, like, extras is not really a thing. Like you're it's you against a jillion people, it seems like, and if you miss it by a split second, you're not going to get it. So, but they're doing around 2, and that's kind of the one set. You know, I've sold GMK Olivia. I like GMK Olivia, but I wound up selling it. I wound up basically trading it for the KBD 8X Mark II to a guy who.
I wish I knew that this was going down when it went down. I bought you a KBD 8X Mark II for Olivia. I was never into Olivia to put on a board that I built for them. Most of my customers don't send me keycap sets. They send me a board. I build the board. I put one of my keycap sets on it.
Yeah.
The guy who sent me the Lin Whale, where I was like, wow, this is actually an amazing fucking board. Like, truly a good board. Who would have guessed? It's so plain seeming. And it is plain, but it's just plainly fucking good.
I finally got to type on one, and I think it was
Yeah.
number 3 or 4 in our Austin meetup top 10.
Yeah, I think it was 3.
It's a good board. It's definitely top tier board. Anyway, he sent me Olivia, and I was like, fuck. So I was never into this before, but
It looks great in person.
But oof, those colors are just so good in real life.
They did such a good job with that set. They did an
Olivia
amazing
for the
job.
win, man.
And it's getting around too. So
it is. Yeah, I'm not bummed about that. November, right? I'm totally in. I think it's November.
Maybe.
Pretty
I might
sure.
do. I might do the terminal more than that, but I'm also like all in on Terra. So
yeah, so Taro.
I think Terra. Sorry.
Oh, Terra. Oh, okay.
Terra, the green side, because I like green. That's my favorite, and that's
Terra. Yes.
There's been like this weird like influx of green sets. I guess everyone got tired of blue and purple after like 9 months of blue and purple sets.
Purple sets.
It was hilarious though. I remember
purple.
I remember I was watching Top Clack, and it was right when Mizu was run. It was right when the interest check came out, and Jay goes, yeah, we haven't had a whole lot of blue sets recently. And it was like, he said that, and then everyone was like, it's my time. And then we shifted purple.
Mizu Waves. Well, Waves is
kind of.
It's blue. Whatever, there's blue.
Eclipse, Denim.
Eclipse, which I own Eclipse.
Striker.
Yeah. Oh, God. Striker, yeah.
Striker looks awesome in person.
And how many, I think at that same time, like, Space Cadet had just come out relatively recently before that. So it was like, fuck, blue.
Yeah,
all my blue.
But now, like, there's Ursa, and then there's another group.
Which looks good.
I'm honestly not the biggest fan of Ursa, but Terra, I'm like all about Terra. And I also really like the show Avatar, so it's just like a double win.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy Ursa, but I think it looks okay.
I think Ursa, I would rather have Coniferous, which round 2 failed over a year ago.
Yep.
They tried to do round 2. This is what's crazy to me, is that a year ago they tried to do round 2 at the same time as another set. I don't even remember what other set was running at the same time. And Coniferous failed. And Coniferous is basically Olivia with green.
All right, there's a meme there though.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. However,
yeah.
That is a meme.
Basically, it's just that like that black and white set
in whatever.
Yeah, it's that black and white set with the accent color. It's carbon. It's hydro. It's it's just that safe. Like, I like the dark mods and the white alphas, and I like this accent key. So, and that's what it was, and that's kind of what Ursa is. Is I'm like, okay, it's brown, so they avoided going for the dark, but that is a personal opinion.
No, of course. This is literally all personal.
It's so funny that, in my opinion.
As Brian said in the last Top Clack episode, we always caveat a bunch of stuff with, in my opinion. It's all in my opinion. That's why I'm up here saying it.
Yeah.
Yes. For whatever reason, people just to listen to my opinion. Or at least tolerate my opinion.
I mean, a number of people definitely are attempting to listen to your opinion right now. 28 of them, in fact.
They're enjoying the opinions.
Hey, man, I appreciate it.
Let me tell you why you're wrong.
Oh, speaking of, okay, so I pulled this board out.
Yes, plastic boards.
Because we were talking, not plastic, full size, and newbies who are getting into it. You literally have, and why things like Austin were good and why the increase in options is good. I've been holding this and fondling it for a while. This is an IKBC MF108.
That's a lot of letters.
Yeah, I know. But it's one of the few OEM boards that you can get that's heavy, all aluminum, and is full size and gives you shine through RGB, although I don't have keycaps on here that would do that.
Shame. All right, well, interview's up.
No. What I'm saying is I'm not plugging IKBC. Like, I'm just saying there's one option, right? So better options are coming literally all the time because of all you newbies who are going to get into this and get super into it, that board is a brick. Yeah, it's like 5.5 pounds, which for an OEM board is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy. The quality when you take it apart and desolder it and you look on the inside of the milling is fucking garbage inside. The outside is great. The inside is garbage. But how do you get a 5.5 pound fucking premium all aluminum construction board in today's world without going for a full custom? Literally one option. There's literally one option out there for newbies to jump in on an OEM for something super high quality.
Well, even then, you could have like, if you think of like an upgrade path, you could go for like a Real Force 87, like the TKO, and say, okay, well, I'm going to use this for like 6 months or something, and then you're like, I really love this board. I want this, but nicer, and just go buy a Neubauer V2 case to put it in, and then you're like, okay, you've got this cool internals that you loved, and now you've got the case that's awesome and super heavy and really nice. Or you could do the same thing with like a heavy 6.
I went to my first meetup was NorCal last year, and I just happened to be like 3 hours from there, staying somewhere that was 3 hours from there right before it happened, and I was like, no, I'm kind of getting into this is kind of cool. I'm going. So I just drove up there.
Best decision you could have made.
I live 5.5 hours from there now, so I'm totally going to drive there this year. But I'm going to stay the night. On that trip, I just like drove there and then drove back. Anyway, first meetup, right? I found a Real Force 87. It was great in a Neubauer case, right? And I was like, okay, yeah, it's super, super cool, man. Topra. It wasn't a Real Force. It was a Topra board. Well, it was a Real Force. Was it a Real Force? Now I'm all confused. It was. It was. I'm like, shit. Was it actually? It had to have been, right?
Yeah, I think it had to have been the 87.
It was in a Normatouch case, right? So, in a Norma Force case, right? But it had the like purple sliders, so it had to have been. Anyway, I was like, fuck, I love this Topra, right? I talked to the guy who made it. He was like, yeah, it has BKE Redux heavies. And I was like, sweet, I'm buying one. So not that board. I bought a
Did it happen to have SA carbon? Did it happen to have SA
carbon on it?
So it's the same board.
The guy was from Texas.
Yeah, that guy just got the purpler. Yeah, we've met him.
Yeah. So anyway, he was cool. The board was cool. I was like, I'm totally in, right? I bought an FC 980 and I put BKE Redux heavies in it, which by the way is and hand lubed the sliders, which is by the way the craziest shit in the fucking world when you're doing work on a board. Like rebuilding a Topra board with those individual domes and then individually hand lubing all of the way more hours worth of work than doing the same kind of thing for an MX board. I was like, oh, this was like 8 hours of investment. That's crazy, or 6, or I don't know. It was a lot, right? So I was like, okay, that was a lot of fucking work, right? And then in the end, I was like, I don't like this. I decided I don't like Topra. Like, oh shit. Board. That's basically what I came to the conclusion of. It's not a terrible board. I'm just not all about it, and it's a plastic case. Mm-hmm. Now, if what you're talking about, if you buy the Neubauer case, you buy a nice premium quality case. I actually agree that the value goes down, but the premium quality of it does go up.
Yeah.
And his cases are really nice. However,
they're expensive.
For me, it's just not going to be my world because I don't actually like Topra that much.
Yeah.
I don't dislike them. I just don't really like. I fell in love with one at a meetup and then built something with the same type of domes and ended up deciding that I don't like it and was like, dang.
Yeah, I just think it's an awesome example of being able to take something that is technically OEM and making it a high end, like a respectable high end board.
Mm. And someone, Dwayne Hanle, yep, DUYNHANLE. He said something. We need better switches though, and that's something that I definitely can get behind. Dewey, got it. Dewey, welcome to the stream. is, there a lot of these boards that it's kind of like, oh, well, wouldn't it be great if they just made an aluminum like 60% or aluminum TKL, like some bigger company just mass produced, and then you can go, all you'd have to, you buy that at a relatively inexpensive price. But we're getting a lot of inexpensive switches that are put in there, or just like cherry RGB browns, because you can go buy 30,000 of them.
Or reds.
Yeah, or reds, or what? Reds, blues, and browns are typically the main three, and it's just like, oh, well, that's because I can buy them for like a penny a switch, basically. And what I've seen, and I'll give this because I kind of poked fun at it, but at the end of the day, it's still a good thing. Is Logitech is now talking about their hot swap switches, which, one, thank God, because we're getting away from Romer G.
I agree. I saw an article about this today, and I was
good on you. Yeah, I saw this last night, and I was like, oh, they're going hot swap. That's awesome, because now you can slowly get people. You go, okay, you buy this Logitech board, and then you're like, hey, you should try these custom switches. And then they go, well, how much is it going to cost me? Oh, it's like $60. And you're like, okay, I can afford $60 right now to basically buy a brand new keyboard, pop them in, and then boom, you've got a brand new feeling keyboard because of these switches. Or if you're like wanting, just telling someone, it's kind of like the GMMK boards, where it's like, if you're not wanting to spend, if you don't care really about sound, and you don't care about these boards that can break your desk in half if you drop it from 1 foot up, like, and you just want different typing feels or whatever, then yeah, that's GMMK, go for it and buy a bunch of different switches and see what you like. That's a great way for someone to kind of get into the hobby, and I'm glad Logitech's doing that.
Except you have to clip all the legs off of your switches. That's the only downside to the GMMK. But yes, I bought 2 of them and gave both of them away.
But you can do Holy Pandas.
Holy Pandas, yeah.
No. I gave both of them away to friends because, hey, I'm just going to give you this, and then I'm going to give you some switches, and then I'm going to take those back, and I'm going to give you some other switches.
And then I'm going to take those back and then make you buy your own.
Well, except the board. Keep that. But I agree. Yeah.
Sorry, Geo subscribed.
No, it's all good, man.
Geo.
Well, you gotta go crazy for Geo on it.
Geo,
given our previous before he showed up conversation.
Well, this is a different
Geo, but we have to go crazy.
Geo that won the bumper.
Geo-M.
He won the bumper, so he's winning.
Rub that into the G.
Too many Geos.
Too many Geos.
I always thought it was too many Joshes, and then now it's too many Geos.
Geo, it's okay. You can cuddle your free bumper to sleep.
I know, right?
Yeah, right.
That was so hilarious because so when we rolled it on stream. The guy that won it I reached out to him on Discord, sent him a message, and we had said before that we were going to wait 48 hours from the stream to claim, which I felt was a viable amount of time.
It's actually more generous than most people would have.
Right.
Some people do like 8 hours.
Some people do like 4.5 minutes or like 37
Are you not
seconds.
in the
They're like,
right now?
are you not paying attention right now? Later, re-roll.
Well, because we didn't make it to where you had to be watching the stream to win.
Yeah.
But so I reached out to him, never heard anything, and so we rolled it. I hopped on a Discord call with Chewy, and we rolled it. And it came up as Geo, and we were both like, he's gonna be so stoked. And then we told John, and John was like, wait, really? Like, are you serious? And John was just like he's gonna be so stoked.
He's a frequent and zapped Discord.
And then when we made the announcement, Geo messaged me. He's like, you're not kidding, right? Like, this is actually real. And so yeah, it was funny because it was like 20 seconds. I think he was not even at his house when the announcement went out.
Yeah, he said he was sitting in a Chick-fil-A parking lot when he gets the notification.
But it was really cool. So we're really happy for him. And what's even funnier is the guy that initially won reached out to me like last Thursday. Finally, like
Way after.
3 weeks
Good
after.
luck, buddy.
But
Good luck, buddy.
But he was like super nice about it. He's like, dude, I appreciate you. He's like, I love y'all's content. He's like, I understand you had to give it to someone else. I'm not on Discord very much. I'm just happy that y'all do this. And I was like,
yeah,
you're so nice.
That could have gone way
it's
differently.
totally fair. It's not like crappy in any way. Like, you just got to do what you got to do, right? Like,
Yeah.
especially after you posted it and you're like, no, where it's going to be this many hours. Then you have to live up to it. It's like, we're committed. It's awesome though. Congratulations, Gio. That's actually really cool.
Yeah. Which
I mean, I don't have a bumper coming, so you know.
Exactly.
Maybe they're going live here in a bit.
We should have we'll have something to give away in October.
Yeah.
I don't know what,
but
something.
I'll join.
Something. No, but real quick, just we are at the 2-hour mark.
Oh crap!
Not to cut. No. You're totally fine. But you wanted to talk about Hot Swap.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to make sure to get that in.
Okay, so here's my thoughts on. Were we doing hot takes now? That's what we're doing.
Oh, hey, hot takes are fine.
Bring them out.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to caveat this whole thing with everyone who's brand new to the hobby probably should own a hot swap board at some point. You should. You should, right? Like spicy.
That's spicy.
You should, because there are advantages to doing it, right? You're going to get to test a bunch of switches. Now you can buy a switch tester, which in my opinion is not everyone else's. My opinion, just as good. Literally do that. But you should probably own a hot swap. It is actually for the masses. If you're new, it's going to be a benefit to you. You're going to get to test a bunch of stuff, and you're going to get to experience a lot more things if you buy a bunch of switches and you don't like them and you sell them, whatever. If you do like them, then you're like, oh no, F it, I'm going to solder them into a board. Don't leave them hot swap, because hot swap is actually just worse. It is less good. In every technical way it's less good.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you have Kaiwa hot sockets, or you have Milmax sockets, or you have hole tights. If you have hole tights, just reconsider your entire life.
I bought some. I threw them away. I bought some.
Yeah.
I tried to fit them into a board. I was like, this is gonna suck, and I just threw all 500 I bought away.
Yeah, I tried them, and they're expensive as shit too. So that's an investment. If anybody doesn't know, 500 of them is like, what are they, like 23 cents a piece or something stupid like that?
I bought them during like a group buy where it was like, it wasn't that expensive.
They were really cheap.
I think
it was like $12, right?
Yeah.
Minimum cost on DigiKey when you look at them is something like 0.4 cents or something if you buy in like the largest bulk, right? Or something super cheap. But still, every time anyone's ever sold them on the site, it's been stupid expensive. I feel the same way about Otemu hot swaps. Just reconsider everything you're doing in it. Anyway, so they're better than hole tights. But if you have Kaiwa hot sockets, or you have Milmax sockets, or you have Otemu hot swaps, which are only going to work for Otemu switches because of the thickness of the switch pins, whatever. They're garbage compared to soldered. They really are. It's a less good experience. They move, they wiggle a little bit.
Especially if you don't have 5-pin switches.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
I remember
Kale box switch.
I was using Holy Pandas in
a
hot swap board, and my tilde key, because I use split backspace, my tilde key will literally, and it's the same on this one, it literally can wobble out of place because it's opened for the stabilizers for a normal backspace. So there's just literally the only things really holding it in place is the 2 pins.
Yeah. I'm really good about it to customers. I don't try and shame them on their choice to try and go this direction, but I literally try and everyone who ever contacts me to do any kind of board, and a fair number of people are like, will you do Milmax sockets? No, I won't. And I have a really good reason for it. And it isn't because I think they're shitty, which I do think they're shitty. I think you should have a hot swap board. I do. I think you should experience it. And I think that for breaking in switches, if that's your game, or if you want, especially breaking in switches, or if you just want to experiment, it's a good thing. But the board itself will be a garbage board. It will never be like, and it never should be your premium, everyday, all day solution for a keyboard.
Which I'm glad that Rama moved away from that.
Yeah.
He started offering
especially because the boards are actually really good.
Yeah. M68.
Like everything else
amazing.
about the board is great. Yeah, everything else about their boards are great. And you can call it antiquated at this point, the basic design of like M60A. I was talking about it with somebody the other day, like the quality. Oh, I was on 001 Anthony's stream.
Talking about the stream. Shout out to 001 Anthony.
Yeah, talking about the really long strip bumpers on the bottom, or bump-ons on the bottom, and how like it looks really cool, but it's actually really shitty both to apply and in practice afterward. Whatever. All of that being said, for any other flaw, you can call them basic boards. Like they're just good quality, man. Like everything that's made by Rama is pretty decent quality. You're not gonna be disappointed with the finish or the functionality of the board. You just won't. That being said, a lot of people will call them out for being basic. The only thing I've ever had bad to say about it and criticizing is hot swap. I do not like it. Like I think it is vastly inferior to solder in, and it's because of the wiggle. It's just because of how secure the switch is. Even if you have a fixed plate and it's really solid, you're going to get some play that solder in will reduce, and you should just go that way for your permanent solutions. But I do think that newbies can benefit from hot swaps. But I think they're garbage, and I will never build one for anyone. And the reason that I won't build them for anyone is because the experience will not be really good. Despite the fact that I'm willing personally to take like low end boards or high end board builds or whatever, build kind of whatever it is that you've got that you want made. I won't build you something that I think is going to give you a poor experience. Outside of the context of just what it is and how it exists, I'm not going to build you something that I think is trash. And I think that anything made with those hot swap sockets they're just trash. The hot sockets will eventually come off. They will need to be resoldered on. They have a limited shelf life. Mil-Mac sockets will come out or wiggle, or they increase the amount of distance between the actual PCB and the bottom of the switch, and so they'll rock just a tiny little bit. It's super irritating. Don't use them.
Another thing about hot swap sockets, this was an issue I had. The PCB that I used in the bumper, which now Chewy has, one of the switches, the actual socket inside the two metal pieces that basically
the leaf.
where
they come together.
It had
flare.
Because Chewy's used it a lot, and he's used it for.
I do exactly what it's built for me to be built, is popping in switches and breaking in switches and using it a bunch.
It was just straight up. It was just straight up bent. So like the switch just wasn't making a connection. Yeah. So I just had to go in with a little pair of tweezers and just push it back. But that's something if you didn't think of that, you don't know that, you could try. Like I took the whole socket off and put it back on, thinking that it was just that it wasn't soldered correctly, and then looked inside and saw what was happening, and I was like, oh, and then just pushed it back down. But
yeah, I mean, and it's an easy thing to fix if you're comfortable SMD soldering quality to desolder that socket off, which is considerable actually, by the way. There's a lot more thermal mass to that socket, to each end of that socket, plus all the solder that you're going to put on there, plus the large pad. There's a huge amount of thermal mass. If you have a crap like $10 soldering iron from somewhere, which by the way, don't do that. Pro tip, buy something okay. You don't have to spend $100, but probably in the $50 range, you're going to find okay soldering irons.
From a reputable brand too. Like you can buy something from Weller that's pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, or if you're
Okay.
going on the cheap end, and it's actually what I use, an Xtronic 3020 on Amazon. If you're going on the cheap end, like I have more than one soldering iron,
Mhm.
but
I have
like
4.
if you're going on the cheap end, yeah. So I actually want to buy a Hakko 888 just to have one.
That's what we both have.
But then I'm like, why don't I just buy like a really nice soldering iron if I'm gonna spend $100? Why don't I just spend like $300 on a soldering, or $400 on a soldering iron? Anyway, we digress. You can get decent soldering irons. Do your homework. There's actually a lot of reviews out there that compare cheap soldering irons, and there are some good options, but don't buy the shitty $10 one. It's not good. Same goes for desoldering. In fact, with desoldering, just if it's less than $90 or $100, you're absolutely in the wrong realm. And then there's only like one option in that range, and then everything else is the Hakko FR301 or 300. But anyway, so the point is if you don't have a decent soldering iron, you probably are not going to be able to effectively replace those hot sockets without mangling the shit out of your board.
Yeah.
Like it just, there's a lot of heat required to move into that part in a short period of time to get it to delaminate or to desolder on both sides. So there's a problem with that for people who are newbies, because a lot of people who buy hot swap boards are completely effing new and know nothing about it. And then they're like, oh, well, I need to replace this thing maybe one time. And they'll just mangle their board. That can be fixed. It's easy to fix.
And what sucks too is like, if you need to jump it, you don't have many options because it's a hot swap. There's only one switch per thing, where when you have like multiple layouts, you have other ways you can jump. You have a little bit more wiggle room to fix.
Yeah.
So,
I did actually take somebody's hot swap board once that they sent me. No. Somebody sent me one where like more, like I don't know how they lived with it that way, but they got to a point where like 3 or 4 switches weren't working, and I jumped them all. And so if you look on the back of the PCB, there's just like 4 jumper wires going all over the place. And it's like, whatever, man, it works now, I guess. But they didn't have the equipment to do it, right? They tried. And it was like, I just have a shitty soldering iron, so it's not.
mm-hmm.
So I don't know. All in all, I would say that your experience will not be great if you go hot swap for the duration.
I think hot swap is a great place to start. I think it's like one of those things. It's a good way to, if you're unsure, or if you want to break something in, like if you want to have your first board and you're like, I'm not sure if I want to 100% commit to this. Do I want to start with Gatoron yellows and then move to inks? Do I want to start with like a random box switch and then switch to a Holy Panda? You know, maybe you can't afford a Holy Panda right now, and the only thing you can get is Gatoron Browns. Getting a hot swap board is a great option, because then you're not fully committing to everything. Then you don't have to go through the hassle of desoldering. Then you just take it apart, get those new switches, and get a new PCB that's solderable, and then now you're set. I think that's kind of what that's kind of what you did with your TX60, with your antique brass one.
Yep. I was on a hot swap board, and I made sure.
I like the finish.
Yeah, it's amazing. I did that, and then I would pop them out to rearrange them so I could make sure that they were all evenly broken in. And then once I found one a PCB that I liked, I threw it in, and then I think it's on its 3rd PCB now, soon to be 4th, because I jacked up my ANSI, as well as it also wasn't working properly because I got one of the first ones, but it happens.
Occasionally you find bad PCBs. I've had on a modern PCB, I've had one pad delaminate. Well, not one pad, but I've had one board where I've had pads delaminate.
Really?
On a modern PCB while I was desoldering. On like a newer PCB, like vintage Apple stuff, and like I've delaminated shit tons of pads, mostly because I don't give a shit when I'm tearing them apart. I'm just harvesting, and the PCB's trash anyway. And I literally don't care. And they bend over a lot of pins. But on a modern one without bent over pins, I've had one PCB that's had delamination occur during my desolder. It was the Tex Kodachi. I don't know if you know what that board is.
Nope.
I do.
Yeah, Osiris is
that the one that has the weird extra bottom row?
It's the one that
Doesn't it
looks
have-
like an old Lenovo
I was gonna say it
pad.
has the little
Yeah.
ThinkPad
The touch.
dot.
Yeah, and so one of my real life friends, who turned me on to mechanical keyboards, and I was like, who the fuck spends this much money on keyboards? I'm not into it. And then like 4 months later, I was into the hobby, like way deeper. So that friend, he bought one, and he was like, I want to put different switches in here because it comes with like shit switches, like browns or reds or some garbage. MX browns or reds, right? And I was like, okay, whatever. And he came over and we used Hacko. Like, I'm not shitty at desoldering. I desolder a ton of boards, and like a ton of pads came delaminated. Like, it was just poorly manufactured board. The PCB like is just kind of trash. But I mean, we fixed them all. We jumped a few, and I put like wires, little tiny individual strands of wire
You just
down
stuffed it
some
in
of the
there.
holes
Yeah.
and stuffed them in there so that it soldered to both sides of the pad. And so like it took forever. There's a build stream, you can totally go watch it, or on YouTube at this point, but took for effing ever. But it was cool because I had another person here with me, so chatting the whole time. But point is it's actually, if you have good technique, it's really hard to like delaminate pads on a modern PCB unless you do something a lot, or if they're hot sockets.
Yeah.
Hot socket ones are actually really easy because it takes so much heat like into that thermal mass that if your temperatures aren't just right and your soldering iron isn't like super high wattage, it's not going to be able to get that much heat into the device to start removing the solder before, or removing it from the pool of solder before it literally overheats the pad and starts to delaminate. Hot sockets are not the best, but they are great for breaking stuff in. And I do agree that everyone who's brand new should probably own one at some point. I did a video on the Cura mechanical keyboard, the hot swap Cura, when it first came out. I felt like I was actually pretty fair to it. I made like an outline. I was trying to be fair. I made like an outline on what I wanted to talk about, went all in depth on it. And I think people think that I completely fucking trashed it. It's probably the thing that has the most views on my YouTube channel. And it got a lot of views really quick because it was right after it came out. Because it was actually the first board that I bought when I got into the hobby, right? It was when it was in GB, and I was like, I'm going to do it. And then by the time it arrived, I had a shit ton of boards that I bought on Mech Market, and I was like, yeah, whatever.
Neat.
Now that's whatevs. But yeah, the point is, don't buy that one. I would dissuade you at this point from buying that one because there's a lot better options. But I would also say don't do it. Like, don't do hot swap if you're already in the hobby and you want premium. Just do that. The amount of money that you've spent on a decent board is more than a desoldering pump.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's about that time we get into the final two questions.
Oof.
The two hardest questions. At least I think they're the hardest questions. So I'll start us off. What is your favorite and least favorite thing in the community at this point?
Okay, so my favorite thing is I actually like how we begin to socialize with the people around us. It's part of what I like about doing the stream thing, but it's also part of what I like about going to meetups, of which I've only been to a few. It's also part of what I like just about how small our community is, and that's somewhat evaporating as the community gets really large, but it still exists. You can still reach out to the people around you, even the people that are like the talking heads in the community, yourselves, for instance. Like, even me, like anybody who's making content, right, is somebody who's up here talking about what's going on. Everybody's accessible still, kind of. Like, if you want to reach out to Nathan Kim, you will still be able to get a hold of him.
Yeah.
If you reach out to Shroud, you're not gonna probably.
Good luck.
No, yeah,
Unless you donate a bunch of money.
And that, even then, I mean,
then he just says your name.
You probably would get to talk to him if you really tried through some media other than just his Twitch stream. I'm sure there's a way to get a hold of people like that. However, I mean, you can actually reach out to the people in our community still, and I still love that part. That's what I love. Like, I'm kind of extroverted, so I really enjoy talking to people, interacting. So that's my favorite. My my biggest dislike of the community, or of keyboards in general, right now. So there's a time at which I probably would have said it's flippers. I feel like that's a little bit of a cop out at this point, so I'm not gonna claim that one. A lot of people have talked about that to the point of beating a horse till it's completely effing dead. It's terrible. Don't do it. That's the gist. But something that really irks me, something that I really dislike about our community, is colorway ownership.
Yes.
In key sets. So I believe that if you're actively involved in making a key set, people need to give you the ability to do that thing. I think that as we get bigger, necessarily, and now I'm play devil's advocate on this literally all the time, because I actually do think that we should show people creative respect. If you came up with a thing and you're going to develop it, like, by all means, be the guy. It is impossible to copyright 3 colors, 4 colors, even 5 colors. You can't do it. It's not defendable in a court. And as we grow as a community, it's necessarily going to have to go toward a legal model versus a people just being cool with each other model.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that people shouldn't try and be cool with each other. They absolutely should always try to just be cool to the people around them. Ask for permission if you want to run a set that's similar to someone else's or exactly the same or whatever it is. I think it's clear with when we start talking about novelties in key sets, like, that's your artwork. You own that. Fuck yourself if you want. Fuck yourself if you want to steal my artwork, right? That's different. But if you want to steal, it's not even stealing. If you just want to use 3 fucking random basic colors that exist out there, no one owns that, man.
Yeah.
It's a few colors. I'm not saying that we shouldn't treat people well. We should treat people well. However, I think that there needs to be some generally agreed to, accepted standard for what we accept as how long someone can claim ownership of a thing that they're not doing anything with.
Mm-hmm.
I just, like, it sucks, but it's just true, right? Like, I mean, the more and more people come into the hobby, the more people are going to want Shoko.
Yeah.
Which I will say is fairly unique in terms of colorway, right? The more people are going to want Dolch or a red, white, and green set, or a black and white set, or an orange and purple set, or whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is, you can't actually technically own it, and I don't think that we should necessarily treat people as though they're fucking criminals for making a colorway that's similar to that, right? There's the meme exists that everything is basically Olivia in a different shade for a reason, right? I mean, partially because the Top Clock guys were joking around about it, but partially because there's a serious aspect to that, right? It's real.
Actually,
you don't own it, so let's.
That's why I'm still waiting for the day I open up Discord and someone posts what is basically GMK Godspeed colorway wise, but they just completely ignore the Godspeed theme and just go with a very like powder blue, yellow, and off-white colorway. And it's like, I mean, yes, Mito did come up with Godspeed, but Godspeed Never One has never been in GMK. And on top of that, like, so you can't be like, oh, it looks like GMK this. Like, no, it's never been in GMK. And what I'm running, you could just call it GMK powder blue and yellow. and then it will sell well. People will probably oust you, but once again, if as long as you don't even touch space theme and you just go, I just want to make GMK University of California, LA. Like,
Sure.
you just want to make UCLA colorway, go for it. And then they're like, well, it's Godspeed. It's like, it's not Godspeed. It's GMK UCLA. Like,
yeah. And I mean, I think there's a certain amount of leeway that you get if you, or you come up with some other artwork or theme that goes behind it, but that shouldn't actually be the driver, right?
Yeah.
If you just want to make a set in some basic colors and no novelties, no theme at all, like maybe not as many people will buy into it, but we also shouldn't like crucify you for deciding to make something that's similar in colors to somebody else's set. I'm not, like I said, there's always going to be a certain amount of play in that kind of a system, right? Unless we literally move just strictly to the legal system, right? You cannot copyright this thing, therefore you don't own it. No matter what, it's fair use. And I think that's kind of shitty, but we have to go to that model at some point one day if our community continues to grow.
Yeah.
We have to.
There will also be a point where, and this is my thought, I think that we'll get to a point where I just want to make a set and then that set goes to group buy. I don't think that is sustainable for long term as the community gets bigger. I think what we will get to is that we will have designers that design and that's it. There's going to be some people, I think those, to do it by yourself on your own is going to kind of go away for key sets. I think it'll be there for keyboards still, but for key sets, I think it'll kind of go away. I think
I agree because of one
I think
thing.
You're half right. I
think vendors are, because I think it's going to start slowly becoming a who do you know? And if you're in with certain vendors, and we're going to see that gap increase.
Unless it's super hot shit.
Unless it's
super
like
hot shit set. Yeah.
Yeah, unless it's like, and then that's going to be their break into becoming a keycap.
And designer. I think that's what we'll see.
You design something that was crazy.
Because we'll have like, I think we have Zabumon designs a ton of sets. Blatsky designs a ton of sets a year at this point. We've had
Rentsuya's
got 3 sets this year.
Rentsuya, Tombri.
I mean, Olivia at this point, 2 sets.
2, yeah.
It's one of those things, we have established designers already, and I think there's going to be less and less of the, oh, hey, I just made this set, and then that all of a sudden sells 1,000 kits. I think that's going to happen less and less.
So here's why that thing exists now, right? So the bar to entry for manufacturing, actually over the last decade and a half, the manufacturing capacity of small order shops has increased to the point that it's not even really profitable in the US to do it anymore. And it's increased so much in China because of the advent of better and better and better and better CNC milling centers, right? Vertical milling centers or vertical machining centers, whatever, that the bar to entry is low. You can find somebody with one to make a board per your design. The end. Whereas the accessibility of injection molding plastics has not really increased that much. But I will say that our community is not tapping unilaterally, not tapping the capability of current injection molding systems that exist. We're using Signature Plastics and we're using GMK. That is all. Those are the two. We're using EPPT. I don't know what the name of that factory is in China. There's a ton of injection molding, plastic injection molders in the US that do way higher volume than Signature Plastics. An immense amount larger volume, orders of magnitude greater in terms of total production quantity than Signature Plastics, not for keycaps, but in general. Keycaps fall into the like sweet spot in terms of volume of plastic for shooting injection molds. I know somebody that has had things injection molded in the US, like products that are on sale right now and do volume sales. So like someone that I work with as a side business has done this thing. So I know it's possible. That company, as far as I know, doesn't make any injection keycaps for anybody. But they're like within 50 miles of where I live, or 60 miles. So like what I'm saying is like there are a ton of could do keycaps that aren't. We aren't harnessing them. They probably don't want to deal with our volume because they probably want to make more money. If they realized the markup that could exist in keycaps, because they're probably looking at it from how much a keyboard costs in the world these days, not how much a premium keycap set costs in the world these days. If you framed it in that way and you approach them, they'd probably manufacture it. Now, Signature Plastics and GMK have a huge history and they make good quality stuff, but the cherry profile, to my knowledge, is not patented. It doesn't have a valid existing patent.
Yeah,
Like you
it's
can
run
just go
out.
look it up and you can go make that thing if you want to. So I guess what I'm saying is yes, I agree with you that the designers will get more exclusive because we'll just want to buy the things that guy makes because we'll trust that it's there. But it is more about vendors, like Chewy said. But the moment somebody decides to start harnessing those other things, you could go for it. When I talked to Melissa at Signature Plastics, right, when I was at Seattle, I was like, hey, how much would it cost for me to run a single fucking set? A single set of SA, right? I'm not going to call her out exact numbers or whatever. A single set. I want a single SA set, the whole board sculpted. I want everything R3 sculpted. Right? How much would that cost me? The number was accessible to me as an individual. It was expensive, but it was doable. And it was not the most amount of money that I'll spend on a single keyboard this year. It's accessible.
Neat.
Right? So I'm not saying everybody's going to do it, but what I'm saying is even through one doable.
The option's always there.
Yeah. So it is accessible, but I do agree with you that we're going to just keep going back to the same designers.
Right.
Because they're coming up with the same good stuff every time.
Yep. Bangers.
Bangers. The word of the week. Bangers.
So,
all right.
Last question.
Yeah, this is the hardest question for me to answer. I know what this question is.
and Parks and Rec.
All right. So if I have to answer this question, it's going to be Parks and Rec. But I will say,
we're on a roll, man.
Man, I'm gonna make enemies when I caveat this with. I've watched 3 episodes of The Office, the first 3 episodes, and I could not stand them, so I stopped watching it. I was like, nope, just no. Everyone that I know is the second season's a million times better, and one day I will. I have this habit of like watching a show for a certain amount and then being like, nah, for years. So one day I will. Parks and Rec is actually decent, I will say. So I will one day give The Office a better shot.
I mean,
but for now,
there is an hour and I think it's like an hour and a half long like documentary about why the first season of The Office is
so
bad, and it is not The Office. It is not The Office that of what it became, and like it's solely it like centers solely around the depiction of Michael Scott.
Yeah, he's the honestly that I was just like, I hate this guy.
Yeah.
I hate him.
And he moves,
can't stand this character.
He changes from season 1 to season 2 from a guy that you hate to a guy that you
start to feel
you
bad
love
for.
And you feel bad for him because it seems like he never really gets his way, but he never really gets punished. Like he never gets exactly what he wants, but he also never really like has it that bad. So like you're always in mental limbo with it, and I think that's one of those things that makes him as great as a character.
So I'm going to ask you a follow-up question to the one that you asked me, and I'm curious as to what you guys have to answer. Okay, so following up on Parks and Rec versus The Office, The League or Workaholics?
The League.
Easy. The League, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I would choose too. But
Kevin Ranazisi is one of my favorite actors, and he's so good at being pathetic. Like, I love people like there are a handful of people that have perfected the pathetic loser that everybody loves, and it started with Ben Stiller. It's like Along Came Polly is just that like epitome of like, dude, like, come on. And then Paul Rudd, who just the epitome of, again, just like, how is this guy so goofy and cringeworthy in everything he does, but yet you love him. But Kevin Ranazisi's on that list of like, he doesn't do as much as those two guys, obviously, but of just like, God, you just seem so miserable, but whatever. But I love The League. I thought The League was a fantastic show.
The League is amazing, but Workaholics was great too.
I
It was
think
still very
I
good.
think the thing for me, the biggest difference between those two is that the Workaholics guys, all of their personalities kind of fit into the same relative box. Like they stray a little bit. Like Anders is way different than the rest of them, right? Like he's
the most
the
different.
most normal. He's the most different, but everyone they all still kind of fit together. Whereas the League, if you put them all together, you're just like these guys would not hang out with each other. And I think that's what makes the League so much better, is because it's very diverse in the actual like characters that you have.
Yeah, I think there's only a few standout characters and they're mostly ancillary characters in Workaholics, right? You got like Jillian and the two office mates, the like older than the main character bodies. I'm trying to remember their names, but you got some standouts, but they're ancillary characters, and the three main characters are actually, you're totally right. They're like the same kind of basic personality. Durs is the most different. But yeah, in the League, everybody's a whole bunch of different, and it's just the most random, hilarious bullshit that exists. But they're both hilarious shows. So, anyway,
well,
thanks for having me.
iammeuru. Thank you very much. Swinging by, talking Keebs. This is our longest interview.
This is, but it was awesome actually.
Jam-packed interview. So
I had a great time. Thank you guys for having me. Seriously.
For those who stuck around, thank you. Really quick, I'm just going to run through these three. Switchmod.net/Mex on deck. 4% off. Lube Springs. He's got GMK Sandstorm. Go check that out. Dixie Mech. I 9009 might still be running for a few extra days. Dracula starts on the 4th. Be sure to go check out Dracula and use our promo code. Helps the stream. And Zap Cables. He makes some of the best cables out there right now. And if you don't want to wait for his custom cables, you can buy your own. Do it off of ours. He's showing off some right now. And then the bumper's coming out soon, so be sure to check that stuff out.
Then Jay Shuff, thank you for the 500 bits. Appreciate it. We have the obligatory horn happening now.
I knocked myself.
Oh, you knocked the Chewy over. But no, iammeuru. We definitely really appreciate you coming on. It was a good time, good conversations, good insights on lots of different things. I think that was my favorite part, is just hearing different insights on different nuances in the community. Because that's what.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. Sorry we took away your stream.
No, I'm gonna do Friday instead.
There you go. So, but thanks, guys, and be sure to check us out on YouTube. And make sure, if you have not joined our Discord already, check that out. Come join, talk to us. Buy a Switch tester. We would raid someone, but he's on our show right now. So
yeah, and because we can't raid him, check him out on Twitch and just put it in there. Twitch.tv/iammeuru.
Hey, thank you guys for that, by the way.
Oh, of course, man.
It's our pleasure.
What are you? Dogs are like wrestling. And all the new subs, follows, cheers. Thank you guys. It definitely appreciate it. Definitely helps us out. So
yeah, y'all have a good night, and we'll see y'all next week.
Talisman has a raid option for you. Apiary keyboards. She's
actually
cool.
really cool. Yeah, I've watched her a couple times.
I will get this going.
Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, no, you're good. You're good. It's always
pay it forward.
For us, it's always better to host someone rather than just end the stream, because then we're not sending people to someone else. So
I have started commencing the raid.
Yeah, I watched her stream a couple weeks ago, but we'll see y'all.
Absolutely.
And enjoy.